We're recording. This is aggroed. You're listening to MSP Waves. We just completed the DLive forum, or the DLive presentation by Justin Sun and Ned Scott. So, wow, there's just so many people in here. I'm going to need some help. If the witnesses want to come on, any top 20 witness is welcome to go join me in the live on air room. They did not mention Splinterlands. So I'm interested in hearing from some folks. I'm going to move top 20 witnesses that I can see into the live on air. So I moved Tim Cliff. So Tim Cliff, if you want to unmute and say something, you are welcome to. Let's see, what else? Who else do we have here? Yeah, I need a little help because there's a lot of people. So if you guys could move any moderator, if you could move top 20 witnesses into the live on air and give them the role of on air DJ, that would be helpful. Tim, can you say hello? You're live on air.
Yeah, Aggroed, can you hear me?
I can hear you great. And it looks like there's a Luke Stokes. Luke, you are muted. I see on Spitbank, Crimson Clad. I would welcome anybody who wants to go give some opening thoughts. Anything that you guys would like to share after hearing that?
I'd like to start unless anyone else has something.
No, I'd love to hear from you, Tim.
So my view on this is that there's a lot of risk and a lot of unknowns, and the communication that's happened so far has done very little to help with that. I think there's a lot of legitimate concerns about the future of Steem, and I've been reading a lot of people's ideas and concerns. I guess the thing I want to communicate is it's not necessarily going to be bad. I don't want to downplay any of the legitimate concerns or possibilities, but from what I can see, it does look like the Tron team sees this as an opportunity to grow both projects. And at least based on what he's saying in the AMI, it doesn't sound like they're planning to make any rash decisions as far as voting in new witnesses and taking over the chain or killing the Steem blockchain and moving everything to Tron. They may have some long-term plans to try to merge things in the future, but I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for discussion with the community and all the teams. And they seem committed to preserving the status quo for now and just doing what they can to try to improve Steem, which to me seems like a positive thing. So I'm kind of in cautiously optimistic wait and see mode. And, I'd actually like to see the end result of this be something that, this could be a turning point when Steem really started to go in a positive direction.
Any other witnesses want to chime in with kind of just make sure that you say your name. It looks like Luke Stokes wants to talk. So Luke, why don't you go next and just say your name first and go.
My name is Luke Stokes. I haven't been a consultant, but
you're cutting in and out, Luke. Make sure you...
I'm noticing that. I'm right by my mic. Let's try this again. As of today, I guess I got back into consensus, but my thoughts are similar to Tim's in that, we've seen a lot. We've all been through a lot in the Steem ecosystem. We haven't seen the leadership in terms of marketing and all of that we kind of all expect from Steem Incorporated. We've talked about that for years. So I'm also cautiously optimistic that someone with his passion could actually potentially help our community get the recognition we all think it deserves for what we've accomplished over the last, handful of years. That said, I think we all should be really, really aware of what's going on and be very ready to take immediate action and to come together as a community, as token holders and block producers and application developers to act quickly if that's what's required. This could very easily at any moment become a hostile takeover. That's what it started as in certain perspectives, because they did say they were going to fork the chain, the token of the chain, basically of the chain, and they did have an exchange announced they were going to support this forked coin. That is pretty hostile without any interaction with the community or the block producers or anything like that. They've just backed off from that, from what we just heard. But they said for now could be tomorrow, could be next week, could be many years from now. Could be something that's amicable that we all agree to many years from now. We don't know. So it's really early on to make rash decisions. I would encourage everybody to breathe, to not act in fear, to really kind of step back and say, okay, what we've been doing hasn't worked very well. This is something new. Let's embrace it rationally. Let's be cautiously optimistic. And let's also prepare for what could happen at any moment. Let's be ready as a community to know ourselves. What is it we want? What direction do we want to go? If someone's going to take us over, this is going to have massive impacts on the whole DPoS consensus algorithm. Can DPoS stand on its own? Can the elected witnesses come together and defend a chain if there is a hostile takeover attempt?
All right. So I heard from Luke. I heard from Tim. Is there somebody else from the witnesses that would like to chime in? The question is, what was your first take from having listened to the Tron or the Justin and Ned comments?
I mean,
I can hear you. I can hear you, some guy. Go for it.
bugging out. My first thought was that Justin's son seemed quite uninformed about Steem. I mean, for example, pronouncing SMTs as MSTs. That's the biggest concern, is that he has absolutely no clue about what he's actually purchased, which brings the concern that even with the history lesson, we don't know where we're going. We don't know what he might do because, frankly, he doesn't seem to fully understand what he's purchased.
Somebody else want to chime in?
I could if.
Go for it.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, glad to have you here. We literally just started, so go for it.
All right. So I think that was kind of the standard. Everything's going to be fine. Nothing's changing. Spiel. I do think that Justin and Tron are going to put a bunch of money into Steem and Steemit, which is good. I do think they know how to, pump prices, make hype, and all that stuff, which is also good. Ultimately, to me, there's no reason why Justin or Tron wants to run another blockchain with another token, right? It just makes no sense. They're ultimately, their concern is on Tron and increasing the price, the utility, and reach of Tron. So, I think they said that pretty much in the initial announcement yesterday, and they kind of backtracked today. But I do think ultimately their plan is to move everything to Tron, to make a new Steem token on Tron, to have that be the Steem token, to have Steemit and other apps, use some new smart contract on Tron. I don't see any way that that's not the ultimate goal here. Now, I know that's going to take a while, and they probably don't have all the details worked out. But to me, that's the end goal of all this, which I'm not a fan of. Obviously.
I do actually want to challenge that narrative. This is Tim Cliff. I don't want to downplay the concern, as I said earlier, in any way, and that's definitely a real possibility that, as Luke Stokes said, we do have to be prepared for. But the part I want to challenge is the narrative that that's where we're heading. I think, as some guy pointed out, he doesn't really know what he purchased yet, and I think there's a lot of legitimate utility in the Steem blockchain that Tron doesn't offer, and he at least seems willing to have the dialogue with the community before making any rash decisions. So I don't want the community to get this idea in their head that we're headed towards imminent doom, and it's just a matter of time before Steem goes away, because I worry that when we have that idea in our head, it's going to lead to the conversations and decisions that are a little bit too rash, and it might cause us to miss some of the positive opportunity that is here right now with the two projects working together in the state that they're in, which for the time being is going to be kind of going down their own separate paths, but working together.
Also, he did mention that, this is Jarvie, by the way, Warrant and DLive both kept their teams and are both still separate chains. Perhaps they just had a bad way of explaining what Poloniex was wanting to do, because it could always mean that they wanted a pegged sort of system just like Steam Engine. kind of does with a pegged thing, so that the Steem exists on on theirs and on Steem. So it could have just been that about with that Poloniex announcement.
So the things that I heard, I guess I want to share. I listened closely to that, and I tried to pay attention to his accent. But the things that I think that I heard during this call were, we are going to keep running Steem. We are going to input the new product, which I believe he was referring to communities. He said we are going to implement SMTs when they are ready. We are going to put money into Steem to go get more development and for us to go get listings on exchanges for Steem. And we will not use our Steem stake to go vote for witnesses. Now, the caveat to all of that to me was he said, for now. And that to me is, I don't know if that's a language thing. I don't know if that's he's indecisive and doesn't know and doesn't want to commit to the future kind of thing. But the things that I heard him talk about today were good. What I would want to see is more of like a contract for those things or some kind of letter intent or promise, more than just speaking on a live stream. So I'm cautiously optimistic as well.
It was very positive. I actually wrote notes and tried to write exactly what he said in every case. It's what he didn't say that we have to be cautious of. It's all the things that he didn't mention, or when he would say for now. So there still should be some sort of like cautiousness, and we should still continue to make sure that we are decentralized and don't have too much dependency on any one company or
another witness. Somebody else want to chime in here? Crimson Clad?
Guys,
Oh,
MC Farhat here. Active.
go for it.
Can you hear me?
Farhat. I can. And then Crimson Clad, you were lighting up, so let's do
Please go ahead, if you want.
McFarhat and then Crimson Clad. McFarhat, you're up.
All right, fine. Thanks, man. Right. Well, I mean, our first impression about this whole thing, we're trying to really see the positive side, and hopefully, I mean, based on the initial announcement, there was a lot of confusion and lack of clarity. Although some statements were positive today, and I mean, there isn't any quick action happening right now, or any sudden moves of using stake to vote witnesses or something like that, or just stopping the whole blockchain or taking some severe actions. I think the overall, I mean, whatever explanation was provided today by Justin Sun, I think it was to be taken positively. But I mean, the critical thing is about the long term. I think on a short term, we don't face any real concerns. I think in acquisitions, things take time. So taking drastic measures and quick things will lead to failure. Justin Sun and Tron, from what I've seen, they really try to make their projects, their acquisitions, a success. I mean, we've seen BTT, we've seen Poloniex, we've seen DLive, and all of those projects, they're working on promoting them heavily, making them a success because they lead to the success of their Tron ecosystem. And I believe they will work on something similar for Steem, Steemit, and hopefully the whole ecosystem. Now, the real thing that's causing me some unclarity or lack of clarity is really about how both blockchains can cooperate or work together, which is why I tried asking if SMTs and TRCs can co-live. And obviously, they haven't done their homework yet. There isn't any real detailed technical analysis of how things will flow, which is a bit concerning. But on a shorter term or maybe medium term, I think there isn't anything concerning until something else comes up, which we really should be prepared for. And sorry for taking more time, but I think also okay, I lost the thought. Sorry.
All right, thank you, McFarhat. Let's go, Crimson Clad. I think you wanted to chime in, or do you have something to share?
Oh, I thought about it. I'm not one of your consensus witnesses anymore, so I don't know if I belong in esteemed company up here, but I jumped in anyways. For those of you who have been around Discord and kind of know my opinion on this, that's great. But if you don't, my thoughts are they're in a tough place right now. And I'm a very positive person. I'm a very let's jump on opportunity and make this work kind of person. And so I think from that front, what, if nothing else, we can take away from this is as a community, we have been able to lose one of the biggest pieces of dead weight that has been unenthusiastic about us. And so if there's any credit that I very, very, very begrudgingly give to Justin, it is that when he buys a project, he'll be very open to saying, I don't know what this is. I don't know what you guys do, but it's great. I'm with you. Let's go for it. And if nothing else, I'd love for you guys to take a little bit of that energy with you. And I'm talking to the community right now. Take a bit of that energy with you in that we have somebody who's like, hey, don't know what's going on, but I'm excited. Let's do it. It's a bonus that he has money. Now, past that, the technical side of things is ooky. But for now, we have a pretty solid dev team that has been kept on. And he did not really give us a good idea whether they would be kept on forever. I would like to see, in a perfect world, and I reached out to Eli yesterday and we talked a little bit, in a perfect world, Justin's excitement and his stupid ass hype machine that writes a big press release and gets everybody talking, because look at how many people are here right now. 250 people minimum right now. It's probably more people than we're watching on DLive. And in that perfect world, we would have a Justin and Justin's wallets and a brain like Eli who hopefully could channel it towards getting more stuff done on Steem core work. And then if the hostile takeover shit becomes evident, if things start looking like they could go sideways, well, there is still a strong core of witnesses here. Look at who's in this live on air room. Look at your top 20 right now. Hopefully we can get what we need from them. And hopefully we also can remain on the sidelines here and watch and learn and see what happens to Steemit Inc. because Steem is not Steemit Inc. So the best case scenario is they get some money and we get a team that's actually working for us, with us, and that we can work alongside, who is supported and maybe, for the love of God, marketed. I don't know. So I'm tentatively bullish, I guess.
Yeah, Matt, I see Matt Stalkers wants to talk. Matt, why don't you chime in?
Yo, this is Starkers from 3Speak. Thanks for bringing me in the room. Appreciate it. Yeah, that was very interesting. I think it was a missed opportunity to pump the coin. I think there was a lot more that they could have said and been a bit more objective. For example, let me run through a few things that I think they needed to mention. They did a decent job of some of them. So they need to have a win-win vision. I think that was more or less described. So Justin's clearly got a win-win vision for this. I think you mentioned that a few times. So that's good. It's out of the way. No token swap, from what I could tell in the stream. They basically closed that out as well. I think there won't be a token swap as we thought was going to happen regarding a hostile token swap. Tron integration to Steemit.com. It would be nice to see that happen in some way where we can have some kind of compatibility between the tokens on one platform. So hopefully we need to look at that. I didn't see that was closed out properly. SMTs and work completed, it more or less sounds like we're going to get all of the work and dev work completed. They're going to keep Steemit Inc as they said they were, so keep them working on the Steem blockchain from what I gathered there. So that is massive positive news. And then no change out for Steem on the exchanges. So we got a message from them that there was this possibility they're going to change Steem for new Steem, which was a bit weird. But I think that was kind of closed as well. And I think it's up to us as a community to keep the pressure on, to let them know that we won't accept certain things. One positive that they've done over the last few days is time this with a voice launch. I thought they were very clever to do that. And I think that's why it was a bit of a shock to some of the Steemit Inc. members, because they tried to get this out to kind of take some attention away from the voice launch, which I think, credit to them, they did a good job there. And us as a community, the only other thing I want to say is, it's our responsibility now to take this away and set up a system whereby it's incredibly difficult to execute a hostile takeover. That's if basically we can take away the speculation as to whether Justin wants to do a hostile takeover, because he may have that intention at some point further down the line that he's not going to tell us, right? But it's our responsibility as a community now to go sort this out and make sure that we have something ready that we can dangle there as a carrot and say, you hostile takeover, we're ready. We're ready as a community to take this chain back. And we've got the opportunity now to do that. I think we've got time, and I think it will work out. I think as a community we'll figure that out, and that will basically make the token absolutely bullish, in my opinion. Once we've done that.
All right, other witnesses that want to.
Yo.
All right, I see Real Wolf.
Hey.
Come on and share your thoughts.
Yes, I'm Wolf. So I very much agree with Matt, but also with Krim and with Stalkers. I think it's not easy to have a very black and white opinion. It's very much gray. But for me, the biggest point we should take away with is that the danger of the Steemit Inc. stake is real. And we've been living in kind of a bubble that Steem is fully decentralized. But I don't think that's completely true, because we are in the danger of them powering everything up, and then they have more Steem right now to vote on witnesses than we have. So for me, the point I want to make is that it's quite important that we have more Steem than them as a community. So if we have more Steem, we have more influence, and we don't run into the risk of them voting us out. And if they want to, they have to buy more Steem and push the price. So I think that's a win-win.
Yeah, so Luke Stokes is saying we should spend some time on a fork of Steemit. That's my follow-up question, but there's enough people in here that I want to see. If there's still some folks in the channel that want to go give their first impressions, I want to allow that. And then following that, I think we need to ask the question, under what condition are you going to support a fork? And so it'd be interesting to see that. But before we do that, I do want to, are there other people that want to go provide their first thoughts after having heard the DLive presentation? I see Frederica, but I don't hear you, Frederica. Anybody else want to share sort of a first thought here?
I don't have a first thought, but I do have a follow-up, and it's very short. I just wanted to kind of let people know that yesterday, Eli reached out and asked us to give her questions to give to Ned and Justin, which of course very clearly did not get accepted, let's say. We don't know that they didn't get passed on, but there is a huge, extensive list of questions that go into a lot of detail that all of the witnesses here brought forward that are obviously they're going to be chasing down out of the Steemit team. And I am hoping that we will get those and be able to share them with you pretty quickly. But right now, no answers on that front. So for people going, they weren't answering, we didn't ask enough, whatever, rest assured there is an exhaustive list of things to be asked, and stake is at the heart of that. So, we're hoping, all of us, that we'll have some information for you guys from Steemit Inc. team. Better yet, they'll put it out there for everyone. So, that's the question status.
I mean, I would say that my biggest concerns were addressed, and they were affirmed in the positive, but not completely to my satisfaction. Like, my two main ones are you going to vote on witnesses? And they said no right now. And then the other one is, are you going to keep the Steem blockchain running? And it appears the answer is yes. But like Yabamat said, it appears that is at least the short-term plan. I am not convinced that is their long-term plan. All right, I want to try one last time. Anybody else want to go provide some initial thoughts? And then I do think we need to talk about under what conditions would you fork. So last shot for sharing. Here's Frederica. Can you speak? He's lighting up, but I don't hear anything. Ron, can you drag Frederica into the waiting room and try to do an audio test with Frederica? And I don't see anybody else lighting up. Crypto Drive, do you want to say anything? Cervantes, Luke?
Hey, hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Crypto Drive.
Yeah, cool. So, just basically, my first thoughts are the whole thing was a little bit soft, to be honest. I mean, as a business owner, I would have been up there and given more of a vision and actually created more hype. This was all just like back history and backstories, and there was really not much to it. Nothing really to inspire what the future is going to, if you know what I mean. So I was a bit uninspired. Did you get that?
I did. Oh, who's this? Okay, that was a Crypto Drive. Stalkers, are you trying to say something?
Yeah. One thing I think is quite an interesting perspective on this. I think everyone's very worried about the Steem token, and I think the chance of the Steem token going down in this scenario is incredibly low.
Do you mean the blockchain or the token? Are you talking about the price
token
or the
value?
chain?
Yeah, the token value, the token price. Yeah, I see a lot of sellers at the moment in the market, and there's a lot of emotion on very low volume actually, which is good news. But I wouldn't worry about the token value, because even if they did it, even if the worst came to the worst and they did a token swap out, right, the Tron community will be buying Steem hand over fist to get the airdrop, to get the swap. So I think that the only time the Steem token is going to go down in value is in the worst case after they swap out the token and they basically make the Steem token kind of irrelevant on their own platform. However, by that time, hopefully, we've got an alternative plan B for a fork, and we can push back anyway. So, I think the risk in the Steem token is incredibly low here, and I'm very, very bullish going forward. It's a shame to see this pullback, but I would say that that's partly because the guys that were on the live stream, Ned and Justin, they didn't do a great job of pumping the token like they could have, and it's because they lacked tangible ideas of what they can do. But I think that now we have the opportunity to provide them those tangible ideas and try to hold them to account to do it. And the opportunity is there. So actually, this is a great buying point, in my opinion, for Steem, because you've got a great discount at the moment.
All right. Luke, you seem like you want to go share a thought. Are you still on the initial thoughts here?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm ready to jump to the next thing, but if there's initial thoughts, let's get to those first.
We can. I think we're done. So let me do a quick intro.
Yeah, if I can kind of set the table a little bit for it.
Yeah, I just want to say I want to ask the question, and then I'd like you to answer first. So the question is, under what circumstances would you support a fork, and how would you envision that fork? Because that fork seems to be Plan B. So Luke, why don't you take the first crack at that?
Yeah, I just want to set a little bit of stage for that from my personal perspective on property, freedom, liberty, the whole deal. Like when we talk about a fork of taking out the Steemit/Tron stake, we are talking about removing property from a group of individuals and entities. It's a very serious thing for me. We've discussed it as a community in the past, and ultimately some threatened with it, and there was some conversation, but it didn't end up happening. Some people got upset at that and thought that the block producers and witnesses didn't have enough spine to actually pull it off, and they're just a bunch of talk. Other people recognized it as protecting the integrity of a blockchain. That if that stake can be forked out, I can make an argument to fork out other Ninja Mine stake, for example. People that maybe aren't having the best interests of the Steem community in mind, and they've maybe scared away a bunch of my friends with their flagging activities, as an example. And so I think it's a very, very careful thing that we have to consider, that if our blockchain, if the Steem blockchain can come together and say, we don't like what you're doing, majority stakeholder, we're going to remove your stake, regardless of how you got it. We're gonna consider that an okay move for our blockchain. That is a very serious action that could have significant repercussions, not just in the token price or the kind of trust or integrity of the chain, but in a larger context of DPoS as a consensus algorithm, or even proof of stake itself. So I think it's something that I would caution us to be very, very careful about and be extremely clear on what our criteria would be for forking out those coins. Now, if Tron was trying to take what would be a hostile takeover, and that, in my mind, that means immediately upvoting 15 block producers to dramatically ram through a code change that hinders the chain in some way, and it's a systemic risk to the entire ecosystem, that to me is something that we are elected as witnesses to defend against. But that is, something that you have to be prepared for. And if it happens, it'll happen quickly, and you may not be able to respond to it in time anyway. So it's something we have to be very careful about. But me personally, as I've said it the previous time this was discussed, I haven't currently seen a list of criteria that would confirm for me that I'm comfortable taking away someone's property or participating with a group of people to take away someone's property. So I'd like to be able to figure out all the different attack vectors that we can imagine that actually puts the whole chain at systemic risk, outline those clearly, publish our thoughts on those as producers of the chain, and say, if you agree, then vote for us. And if our percentage of the tokens is not high enough to remain in power, then buy up the token and vote for us more, essentially, because otherwise we don't actually run the chain, and it's going to be controlled by whoever has the majority stake.
Are there other people that want to respond right away?
Can I?
I agree with Luke about forking. It's something that's been, this is Draco speaking, by the way. It's something that's been brought up many, many times whenever something happens or something dramatic happens. Oh, fork them out, blah, blah, blah. I think we need to be very careful when you think about forking anybody, whether it's a small account or a big account. Because what does that say about our chain? Is that, hey, look at these guys, they can fork people that they don't necessarily like or disagree with or whatever. I also found that the conversation with Ned and Justin was very nebulous. They didn't answer much of the questions. So right now, I think everybody is in a panic mode, like the uncertainty of what's going to happen to us, what's going to happen to the future. I think we should step back and calm down and just see what's gonna happen between Steemit and Justin when they meet up and they talk to each other, because it's a very complex thing to acquire a blockchain, let alone to integrate it with whatever other blockchain is doing. And I think we need to be cautious and patient. And somebody brought up
I'd like
earlier.
to correct something. He didn't purchase a blockchain. He purchased a company that is a lead developer on a blockchain and owns an app on a blockchain. He did not purchase a blockchain.
Well, as well as the stake that the Steemit account holds, I assume that was transferred also.
Yeah, it's approximately 75 million Steem from what I've seen and what I can tell. There's something like 365 million Steem that are on the platform. So I don't know what that percentage. It's like 21% or something.
But did Ned sell his stake, or did they all?
We don't know. It's not clear what happened, how many, how much. I mean, it's your guess is as good as mine.
Can I add?
Hold on, Matt Stalkers, you can go after Yabba Matt.
Yeah, no worries.
So I think this whole fork discussion is kind of missing a really important point, is that in my opinion, Justin does not care. I don't think this fork will do anything that he would really care that much about. So here's the thing. As I said before, and this is not to make anyone panic, there's nothing to do rashly, but Justin, he might not understand a lot about Steem, but what he does understand very simply is that it has a lot of users relative to blockchain platforms. It has a lot of dApps relative to most blockchain platforms. It was available for relatively cheap for him. He wants that to be on Tron. His whole thing is to make Tron the best blockchain. He's competing with EOS and Cardano and Ethereum and all those, and he's looking for ways to improve Tron. And Steem was frankly a fantastic move for him from that perspective. So if we start with that, and then his plan would be, in my opinion, literally like they said in the announcement post, to make a new Steem token on Tron, to build the Steem functionality as a Tron smart contract, and to port the apps over to using the Tron smart contracts and the Tron Steem token. At that point, then, he has the relationships with all the exchanges to say Steem is now a Tron token. The exchanges will update to have that be Steem. The existing Steem blockchain will still run. It will just not be considered Steem in the minds of most people as they view it through the lens of the exchanges and through Steemit.com, which will all be using the new Tron Steem. So from that perspective, he could care less if we fork out his stake on the old chain. He doesn't need witness votes. He doesn't need anything for that. He has what he needs. He owns Steemit.com, the main face of the Steem blockchain, despite how much we might say it's different. And he owns the exchange relationships that are what most people, that's how they get Steem, and that's how they know what Steem is. So at that point, it wouldn't even matter, I don't think, but that's why I just think the forking discussion doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Because if I'm Justin, okay, great, fork out my stake. I'm going to move it to Tron eventually. So that's why this whole thing seems a little kind of silly to me.
Matt,
So interesting take, Matt. I kind of agree with part of it. I kind of don't agree with another part. So one of the things that I think is interesting right now, it's all very nicey, like Ned and Justin having a nice chat with each other, and it seems very positive and everything. But like Matt says, the kind of conflict of interest is in that the Tron team want to make Tron the best blockchain. So, and they came out with it straight off with their first post. So they're talking about it's within them sort of subconsciously that they want to create a token on Tron, and maybe exchange it out for the Steem token at some point, and kind of migrate the whole Steem community to Tron if they can. I understand that. That's exactly probably what I would want to do if I was running a blockchain like Tron. But I believe it's irrelevant of whether Justin's a good guy or he's positive or he's talking the token up or anything. It's our responsibility as a community to have mitigations in place so that cannot happen. And we have a responsibility to make sure that happens. I don't know the exact answer as to what it is, whether it's the threat of a fork, whether it's actually doing a fork, or the answer's in some other place. If you look, he's got Steemit.com. He's got the developers, because they work for him now. And I mean, if I was a developer and this became a hostile situation, the question is, would some of the developers kind of maintain their principles and come back to Steem, if that hostile situation started to happen? And they've got an app that will run Steem, and they'll start to drag Steem users across to the Tron blockchain. If they then implement some technology on Steem, such as smart media tokens via Tron, all of a sudden you're starting to look at a dying Steem blockchain. And the only solution to that is if we as a community put mitigation in place, regardless of how nice a guy Justin Tron is. It should be done. It's irresponsible for us not to have this mitigation, however it ends up looking.
To me, the mitigation comes down to the exchanges at the end of the day. If we can talk to the exchanges and say, okay, Justin makes a new Steem token on Tron, as long as the exchanges continue to have Steem be the original Steem blockchain and the new thing be Tron Steem or whatever, I think that's what it really comes down to, and that's what our focus needs to be in terms of mitigating this scenario.
Yeah, agree. But I will argue there that his connections with Binance and his connection with other exchanges, plus his leverage and his clout, would put us a far third or fourth place to get the ear of the exchanges.
Oh, totally. Yeah, we will have a hard fight there, but that's where it is.
Yeah, so that's not where the answer is, in my opinion. I would say I have thought maybe about us creating a backup token and asking exchanges to host that token with no trading volume on it whatsoever, basically. But we as a community will pay them an insurance to host that token in case we ever do need to use it at some point, so that there isn't a delay between a fork or anything. But I don't know. I'm happy to discuss ideas separately. It's probably not the right place.
One thing, guys, to keep in mind is that, I mean, you can have the token running on a multitude of chains. I mean, like, for example, take the USDT. It has recently been introduced to Tron blockchain, and it's running on multiple ones. So I think as witnesses and as a community, if we can push towards maintaining on the long term the blockchain, Steem as a blockchain, in addition to Tron and having Steem on Tron, having Steem maintained on the Steem blockchain, I think they can co-live and we can maintain the Steem blockchain running properly alongside the new token, which eventually will be available on Tron.
I think honestly, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, the only discussion that we can realistically have around tokens right now is Justin is only able, like, let's put the fork talk aside for just a second, though that's the question that we started on. The only thing that Justin can do right now is create a Tron token that it, either is pegged to, equivalent to, or tries to take the place of Steem. He can't just make Steem on Tron. And so that's part of what Matt was talking about. And Christ, there's so many Matts. But Matt is talking about. He can say, hey, guys, you got Steem. I'm going to give you another token. Come on over. Come to my exchange. Come to Tron. And that is part of growing the ecosystem and using his investment in Steemit as a website and reaching out to the users that exist. So that's fine, but that doesn't change what's happening here on Steem. And so for a lot of people in chat right now, because I'm watching chat and people are freaking out, and fair, but the reality is he can't just pick up Steem and suddenly make it somewhere else. And so the concerns about the token, the best thing that could happen, like the best sort of hostile thing that could happen right away outside of witness voting, is that he creates a shit token on Tron and then dangles it in front of enough people to pull community members away to thinking of Steem and Tron interchangeably. And that is problematic, but that's not on a technical level. That's not a threat to our blockchain yet. And so when we're talking about forking, I am very, and we took heat for this in the last time the fork discussion came up for all BTC News, me and Jeff, because I said, there's not a whole lot of circumstances that I would fork under. Now, obviously, if all of a sudden this stake woke up and he started voting witnesses, that would change. There would be obviously a position for me to protect this chain. Fine. But I really don't see that happening yet. And so while I want us to talk about having a plan and actually develop one, we have to remember that when you spend money and when you have a takeover, if we really want to call this that, because it is, he took over Steemit Inc. When you have a takeover, you need a benefit out of it. And anything he does right now at this second that will scare away his strong block producers, that will scare away this giant and very committed community, is literally lighting that money that he just spent on fire and burning it to the ground. So we have a little bit of time to talk intelligently about what a fork could look like. And we have a little bit of time to talk directly to Steem users and Steemians about what his suggestion for a token would look like. And it doesn't mean that someone is coming to rip the Steem out of your hands. So I really want to put that out there for people listening who are panicking on a token level. No one can take your Steem. And so what he may offer you to begin is another token. And that's okay, tentatively. So, I mean, as a witness, it's super, super important to keep an eye on the stake that we know where it is and potentially the stake that we don't know where it is, and watch how witness lists shift. But right now, the focus should be on us keeping panic down so we can also keep our heads in the plan that is the longevity of Steem as we have it, which is, the witnesses keep running the chain. The token is still here. You guys keep all using whatever interface you like. Nothing changes yet. So just thoughts on the token. The taking it to exchanges is a very valuable point. And that if he offers you a new token, you are the only one who can decide. Will you follow that token to Tron? Will you follow it to steemit.com in a new iteration? I don't know. That's on you. What do you think as a user?
Other folks who want to chime in on a fork discussion? The question is, and you are certainly welcome to amend the question. Under what conditions would you fork?
Just to follow up on Crimson Cloud's comments, I lost my thought.
Oh, sorry.
I was still trying to follow the discussions in the chat, and I was trying to. It'll get back to me. Just keep.
It happens to me all the time. I get mesmerised by Crimson Cloud. She's got a fantastic little voice on her.
Yeah.
Anyway, so,
what I wanted to say. Sorry. It's the concern right now with witnesses is what happens if a takeover of the witness system does take place, and how would you react? That's why people are talking about forking now and in a panic way, is to prevent that from happening. But the question is, what if it does happen? What then? We're gonna be fucked? What?
I just want to make a little comment. I just want to say I think that we should assume it is going to happen. Not that it's going to happen, but we have to take this position that we have to assume that at some point, if it's not just in Tron, it'll be someone else, will attempt to hostile take over the chain. And we are in quite a weak position as a community. We've been quite naive as a community to think that this won't happen. Look how cool Steem is. It's going to happen at some point, so we have to assume it could, and therefore we need the mitigation in place to assure that it doesn't.
I have a technical question that maybe like Gandalf or someone can answer, but let's say we did fork and we took away their stake or their ability to vote for witnesses. Then as a response, they just spin up 15 to 20 new witness nodes and vote for themselves on the original fork of the code, which, again, all the exchanges and everyone else is running. Then aren't we just left with a new fork and they have what's considered the main Steem chain anyway?
Yeah, well, essentially I can answer that. It's sort of quite easy. Basically, you need to consider how people can get in and out of Steem, which is the exchanges. So
You cut out Crypto Drive.
are you able to hear me now?
Yep, go for it.
Okay, cool. So essentially, what I was saying was that what's important is which nodes the exchanges are using. So the exchanges sort of are the on and off ramps for Steem. So users can't get onto Steem if they don't go through exchanges. They can't cash out their Steem rewards if they don't go through exchanges. So at the end of the day, whoever controls the exchanges has the power to push whichever code base they want and use whichever nodes they want. Okay, so it's not really so much of a technical question; it's more of a strategic question. That's what I think, anyway.
Right, I think you're exactly right, and that's what I was saying. Steem is not a blockchain. Steem is not a token. Steem is not a platform. Steem is just a name, and it really, like you said, it's the exchanges that control what that name means. And the unfortunate reality is that Steemit Inc. and now Justin control that the exchanges and what they say about Steem. So we can fork, we can do whatever we want to do, but they effectively control what Steem means to the vast majority of the population.
That's it, yeah. One thing that we do have in our favor is that Steem is listed on Steam Engine as well as BitShares, which are sympathetic communities. So that's always a fallback. I think those would probably remain sympathetic to Steem, hopefully, and that should be fine. So that is kind of our, fallback plan for the short term.
Now,
So I think
nobody has really answered a question of what would be the criteria. So one of the things that I would share is that my criteria for this would be, does it sound like they're going to shut down the Steem blockchain? And then does it sound like they're going to vote witnesses? And those would be my two criteria for saying if they start acting like they're doing those things, then I would say we need to respond as a community because that doesn't sound like what we want. Those would be my criteria. And based off the conversation that we had, or that we witnessed between Justin and Ned, Justin stated we're going to keep running the chain. We're going to add SMTs and we're going to add communities. So it sounds like that chain will keep running. And he said we're not going to vote witnesses. And then, of course, the problem is, he said, for now. And maybe that's catering to his Tron audience that might be looking for some statements. And maybe that's just not like knowing what he's going to do on day one. So my thought would be, I even with the technical challenges and the exchange challenges, it is worth having a plan that the witnesses could execute if we have an existential threat to like Steem governance or to the existence of the chain. But based on what I heard, I would not like leave this room and immediately say we need to fork. It sounded like to me, with some skepticism built in here, that they want to go get us listings and they want to go get Steem blockchain developers and they want to help promote Steem, which to Matt's point is also kind of curious because they also own Tron. So there are some conflicts there that will need some time to resolve. But I'm not leaving here saying let's fork the hell out of everybody. I'm thinking, okay, at least for the immediate future, this seems okay, even if there are some concerns in the intermediate future.
If I may change a bit your question, I mean, instead of asking what criteria will lead you to fork the chain, I would say, is forking the chain really the solution? And based on some of the discussions we've heard earlier, it might not be the solution. I mean, there are many caveats. There are problems with exchanges and so on and so forth. So I think the approach might be, like I mentioned earlier, would be really discussing with the Tron team, and probably that's a technical discussion, about having the two blockchains living together would not really affect negatively either of those chains. So having a Steem blockchain and Tron blockchain, each on its own, with the added value that Steemit and possibly the dApps on Steem adding to the Tron blockchain and to the growth of the Steem token. This is where the real and core benefit is.
I want to let Jarvi go next. And when we've done a little bit more discussion on this, I do want to switch to, this question is really geared towards the negative. What if the bad case scenarios come up? After this, I'd like to go switch to some positive case scenarios. So anyways, so Jarvi, please go answer the question as asked.
So the question is, under which criteria would we fork the chain? And I think that I would look to fork it already right away. But this is the thing, like just change it so that we don't have those attack vectors. Find ways to make it so we don't have those attack vectors. Because I'm optimistic about what Tron has to offer. We just have to make sure that we're not becoming more dependent on them and that they don't have the opportunity to do a hostile takeover. So that's what the hard fork is. We could change the code to make it so that they don't have that at their disposal. As far as
Others that want to address forking.
I think Jarvi made a very good point. On the one hand, forking is always an option, but for me personally, I don't think that it's a very. I think it can be a very positive thing, which means on the one hand, sure, the Steem brand is amazing, but it also comes with downsides, which means many people in the industry have some kind of bad rap about Steem. So I don't really want to fork, but I also see the positives about forking into a new brand, a brand which is self-sustaining, which is completely decentralized through the SPS, which doesn't have any single authority ruling over it, and we could have a very clean slate. But for now, I would like to prefer to focus on the positive things we can do with the current Tron money flowing into Steem.
I also have something to say as well. Something I've been thinking about is a negotiated fork. That means
You cut out crypto.
Yes. Sorry. Okay, so we
Still cutting out.
am I still cutting out?
Yeah,
How's
now
that?
you're live. Go. If you're lit up green, you're probably speaking.
Okay, cool. So basically, what I was thinking was a negotiated fork where we sit around a table with Tron and we tell them our concerns and say, look, this stake that is there on chain that you now own is quite contentious and it's making everybody nervous. Can we come to an agreement where we all together do a very simple fork just to remove the witness voting power of that stake? Okay. And basically, they shouldn't mind that. We'll still allow them to power down and shift that stake to another account if they want to vote later. But at least we'll have 13 weeks heads up and not just immediate overnight shifting of witnesses. So we won't lock up their stake. We'll still have a 13-week power down. Just remove voting powers. I'm sure they'll be fine with that. Because if they want voting powers back, they can just move it to some other account over 13 weeks. And I think they would go for that personally. And then also we have to make sure to remove proxy voting as well, because that's a loophole around it.
This is unrelated, but I'd just like to let everyone know who's on live on air. You should state your name when you speak. A lot of people in the audience get quite confused because they cannot see our names lighting up. So if you could please announce your name when you're speaking, that would be great for the audience.
Yeah, can I shoot in about the reactions of the call? You can hear me now, by the way.
Yeah, go for it, Frederica.
All right, so this is Frederica from Steem Press. So just first of all, from the call, I didn't get the impression that there is going to be a full migration, or that is even in the plans long term for Tron or for Justin. And I think it's a bit, and while I do believe that we have to have all the plans on the table and all of the scenarios thought through, I think it's very rushed to even assume that that's the long-term goal for now. I think he said quite clearly that he wants a 2-blockchain solution, that he wants to allow Steemit to stay very much as it is and to allow it to run. Are there some uncertainties involved? Are there some negatives with Justin? Yeah, I think so. And we need to be able to voice those criticisms as one should in a decentralized platform. But I think it's important to not lose perspective that it's not as if it were all perfect before this acquisition. I mean, we now have a CEO or an owner that has written on Steemit, which is the first time in a year, and we have an owner that doesn't have to continue to sell Steem or to have ridiculous amounts of ads on their front end to keep their employees fed. So I think that we should take a little bit of perspective, and at least for myself, all I'll be doing over the next few days as we get more and more conversations also with Steemit Inc. hopefully, is to keep perspective on my core vision all the time, which has been to enable us to collectively own a decentralized social platform backed by a fast and fearless future-proof social currency. And whether or not this new sets of opportunities, because let's face it, this is a lot of opportunities too, whether you want it or not, enables that vision better. And I think speaking purely from the point of view of ADAP, it does in the terms of having a marketing platform here, having more resources here, and having more public notice of what's going on in our ecosystem here. But of course, at the same time, it needs to always be asked if the threats here are real towards enabling that vision, which leads me to this question here. Just give a super brief answer. For me, it is crucial that we have a platform or a blockchain that can continue to provide the key value propositions of an open and transparent database for content, where users can fully own their own data and their own posts, and that is capable of handling the number of transactions and interactions that we have on Steem. So far, I don't see Tron being able to do that, and so I don't think it is likely that there will be a change away from Steem as it is. But if it is to the extent that apps like our own could not be able to rely on those features, then I would certainly want to ensure that such a blockchain stays alive and well without, in whatever way we can.
Anybody else want to go tackle their thoughts on forking before we switch to what it looks like to collaborate?
Yeah, can I speak?
Yeah, go for it, Dracos. And then I saw Marky light up. So why don't we do Dracos then Marky?
My worry is, let's say we do fork, what happens to the development afterwards? Because right now, the bulk of the development is handled by Steemit Inc. So if we fork and we push Steemit Inc. out of the equation, where can we go from here? Do we have an army of developers waiting to take charge and lead us into the future, or what? So that's why I don't think forking is a good idea, and that's one of the aspects of it.
Marky, it looked like you wanted to talk. Is there something you'd like to add?
Yeah, this is Marky. I wanted to do my first impressions, but quickly to answer Dracos. I believe we have more people in the community that can fork and handle the code base than Steemit Inc. does themselves, to be honest. We have Abit, Netroso, Tim Cliff, Gandalf, and a few others that are capable of doing it. And they have, 2 people? Annex as well. We have block trades. I mean, I can go on. We have way more than they do. But I want to get to that first impression. I really think this was not expected to happen. I think Justin's son went on that interview, leaked it, and then now they're playing damage control. I think we're so far ahead from where their plan was that they were planning at some point to integrate the two and most likely take Steem and move it into Tron as the end goal. But I think technically, I don't think they have a line of code. I don't think they have a clue what they're going to do. I think it's so premature, but they had to jump on this because everyone knows now that they had to actually do something about it and come up with this AMA, which was really an AMN, ask me nothing because it didn't answer anything. But I don't think a lot of people really know what's actually going on. I think it was just pretty much, we had this plan, we're investing money, we're getting into the system, but we haven't got developers, we haven't started looking at the code base, we haven't decided how we're going to integrate them. And it's just a whole bunch of nothing that was actually ready to go, and they just had to do something just to keep people's attention off of what's really going on. And I think it's way early in the game. I do think I agree with Matt. I think the future is Steem disappears somewhere into Tron. That may not be bad. I just think it's a fact. I think that's the direction we're going to end up going. I don't see him maintaining 2 chains. I don't see that happening. I think there's a lot of value Steem offers that Tron needs, like the community and all that stuff, and the social aspects and things like that I think there's value there. And I don't think he would want to destroy that. I think he's just going to want to put it somewhere else. So I don't think he's going to spend the money into this and say, okay, let's destroy it and make it worth 0. I mean, in my post, I said there's ways of doing acquisitions where you destroy competition, and that's a very valuable way of doing business. Microsoft will buy companies just to destroy it, so they remove a competitor. We're not really a competitor, where we have values that they want that they don't have. So I don't think that's a scenario. And I think one of the things I also mentioned is Tron went up 150 million Steem or 150 million US dollars yesterday. That at the time was twice our entire market share. We were at 76 million at the time. So they bring a lot of money, a lot of resources that could, even just a drop in a bucket to them is way more than we've ever had. So that's just my thoughts of the initial thing. But I do think they were just basically doing damage control, and they don't really know where it's at either. I think they have a plan, but I don't think they're near there. That's all.
Matt Stalkers, you're letting up, and if there, it looks like Justo wants to speak too. So Matt, why don't you go quickly, and then we'll let Justo go.
Okay, if you look at when you're going to fork, or when are we kind of reaching a place where this becomes a risk, right? So what do they want? They want our community. They want I think we've got a far more advanced community, a far more advanced governance system. These discussions that we have are far ahead of where they are. I don't think they even realise why we're in a bit of a panic. And that's because it might take another 6 months to a year to even work out what the hell this stuff even means. But when they work it out, they'll realise what they've got. And they've got a lot here. And so what we need to watch for are things like if Steemit Inc. goes quiet, or if there's any talk about Steemit Inc. developers being used on Tron to develop on Tron, or to pass information across to Tron regarding any kind of sophisticated areas of the Steem blockchain. That's taking IP away from our community and moving it across to theirs. I think what we'll see is they'll be, in their mind, they want this Steemtron app to become quite successful. If they then, once that becomes successful, we are in a serious risk because they've got Steemit Inc. They could basically take a lot of the development resources away from the blockchain. And if we're not quick enough to act to set up our own fund to fund our own developers to keep the development of Steem going forwards, all they've got to do is change out the token, talk to the exchanges, and they can effectively put a big dent into Steem. And I do believe that they are looking to remove a competitor at some point. Maybe it's months down the line, like Crimson said earlier. We've got a lot of time to deal with this. We've got time to work out what the solution is. It may not be a fork. It may be a written deal. But we need to pay attention to those items, right? Does Steem Inc. go quiet? Are they slowing the development down? How much of a community is moving away from Steem to Tron? And yeah, if we keep our eyes on that, and like you were saying, aggroed, regarding the witness votes as well, we need to keep our eyes on that because they could hostile take over the witness chain. I'm not saying any of this is going to happen, but there is a risk of it, and we need to pay attention.
Jessa, it looked like you were letting up. Would you like to share something?
Sure.
I can hear you.
Hello, everyone. It's been a while. This is Jesta. I used to be one of the big witnesses around here, and I've just been kind of keeping an eye on things over the past few months, and this has been an interesting twist. You guys have covered the conditions of a fork very well. I think that it's basically if the chain's going to be, itself is going to be compromised and moved away from the community governance that is going on right now. Out of every system that I've been a part of, Steem is still one of the top in terms of integrity. The community cares, the community's involved, and when things like this happen, it just lights up, and you see these people returning. This is interesting times, and I think a lot of where all of this is coming from is it's the devil we know against something we don't. We knew Ned pretty well over the course of these past few years and how he operated things. And now the Steemit Inc. resources are going to be under control of somebody we don't know. So it's just a matter of making sure that the value that Steemit Inc. brought doesn't go away, because that, I think, is the biggest risk.
Anybody else want to add some thoughts to the fork discussion between moving to the collaborating discussion? Or maybe planning discussion might be better, but anybody else want to chime in?
This is Marky. I think we have to prepare to be ready to do a fork, but I think doing a fork now is kind of premature, and I don't think we're ready to do it. I think we have the technical ability to do one. Like I said before, we have more developers able to work with the blockchain than Steemit does, as well as Tron in terms of Tron being able to work with Steem. But make no mistake, they have more resources and more developers overall. They can very easily get familiar with Steem and execute at an alarming rate, I think. But I think doing something now is kind of silly. But some of us have been preparing, like we've copied the GitHub repositories, so we have copies of those in case if they disappeared for whatever reason, but other things. But I'm not ready to say let's do a fork, but I definitely have that in my mind that that's an option. But I am not a fan of forking out Steem at stake. I do think that's stealing. As much as I think they got it illegitimately, I wouldn't be a fan of forking anyone out like that. I think that's that will lose all integrity of the blockchain. People will power down and leave if they think that that's something that can happen at any point.
All right. I guess I've been saying collaboration. I guess I really mean planning. So we've had a discussion from Justin. We've had a discussion from Ned. Ned is leaving. Tron is sticking around. Tron has said we're going to keep the chain going and we're going to not vote witnesses, but they added for now. It sounds like they're going to implement communities, and then it sounds like they're going to implement SMTs. So they have some level of plan that they have stated. I mean, it's day 2, so who knows how long that sticks around as the plan. So they've stated some of their plan. I guess I'd like to hear from witnesses to share what is your plan? What do you think we ought to be doing as a community? What do you think we ought to be preparing, and how can we take advantage of benefits if they do exist? Or I don't know, just how do you think we should move forward from here? And I see Luke wants to talk.
If I could go ahead. Yeah, I've already had, like, I had a couple viral day or two, 100 something likes, and I've already had some on, Twitter army come and reach out to me and basically say, welcome to the family, kind of a thing. And so one positive way to consider this is 200 million people that follow Justin on Twitter now have a reason to come and join Steem right now as it is. And that could be a narrative that we could all spin right now. So if you're really on board with Tron, you need to join Steem. Join it right now, buy some Steem token, get some influence in this. This is where Justin himself posts. This is the new hotness. This is what's amazing. He respects it. Why don't you get on board? And that is a narrative we can push. And that could potentially get that, like, we basically almost a reverse sale. We get the Tron community invested in the Steem token because they want to have influence on our chain and they want to be part of, a real Tron user is on Steem. If that's the narrative we can play, then all of a sudden they've got a reason to participate. They've got a reason to protect our stake because they are now Steem holders as well. We start upvoting anyone, get an upvote campaign going. You're new from Tron, post here and we'll give you some votes. Just really go hard on it to be like, fine, let's make this the other direction. Let's make Steem so valuable to the Tron community that they want to protect it also.
I have to disagree with that because the impression I got from Justin is that their community is all peaceful and kind and loving, and they don't have any toxicity. Now imagine that community coming to Steem and clashing with the downvoting, clashing with some of the bad whales. This is Draco speaking, right? Clashing with the toxicity that we do have on Steem. I wonder how would that look from their perspective. So I would take that with a grain of salt when it comes to onboarding, if that's the plan. If they want to, have back and forth between the two chains, I don't know how that's going to play out. But keep in mind that the people in Asia, they don't like downvoting. So that's what I think about that.
That's
one of the things that I think would be a simple, quick solution if we can work out a way to do it is to have right from the get-go a cross-posting mechanism so that all of the Tron posts are posted straight to the Steem blockchain, and we give them a forgive if it's held up by Steam cleaners as plagiarism or copying content, and you get these double rewards going so that Tron users are able to set up a Steam account and automatically have their Tron post posted to the Steam blockchain and receive Steam rewards as well at the same time.
I mean, one of the thoughts I've had is that Steam functions as a reward pool, and you could just get something like block producer rewards on Tron to have a fund, and then you could put those funds into like Condenser. So very much like we have Palcoin and we have our own token that runs in Steem. What we did is we basically said, all right, we just take essentially the SMT protocol and use our own token. They could do that with Tron. They could have a reward pool that comes from a block producer that they elect and then shove that into Steemit. Maybe it's the same Steemit.com, maybe it's Tronit.com, but they could have a blogging platform using the actual Tron token as like the reward currency. Things like that could actually exist. That, to me, like we've solved it technically once on Steam Engine with very little budget and a totally disorganized like Federation of Devs manner. I'm sure that Tron with hundreds of millions of dollars could figure it out as well.
I think the most important thing that the people listening in right now can do is to make sure that Justin, who is reading Twitter, is reading Steemit, that they know what are the benefits you've been getting from Steem that have kept you here through 2 harsh bear markets. Because whatever they are something that he should understand and that all of us should understand so that we can double down on them as value propositions going forward. I think that in terms of collaboration, it is important that we stress to Sun, who clearly doesn't know that much about Steem or technology. He just wants more apps and more users. That we stress to him that, look, we've now gone through a few bear markets here. All the users have been told the same vision of communities and SMTs. They are soon to be here, and the only thing we've truly felt lacking are marketing talent and capital and resources for those to excel. We really believe that whatever people may say about Justin, that he has those things. So what really would be in our best interest and this community's interest, unless I'm terribly mistaken, is that we go ahead with that vision that we've had for so long and make use of those added resources that we now have and give that a wholehearted attempt. And I believe that if we can do that in a way where we also try to complement Tron, because I'm sure there will be a lot of complementing overlaps between the 2 chains for apps and projects, that it can be a win-win for both, which now is a total win for Justin because he after all owns share in both. So I really think that everything we should be focusing on right now is to look at some of the baggage we finally let go of and focus on the values that we really want to keep here, that we've had in Steem for all this time, and build from there. I mean, it's an opportunity and don't let it go.
So Roland is sharing with me, Roland being the Steamfest Roland, has shared with me by a direct message. Hi, my connection is bad here in New Zealand Outback, so I want to add my 2 SBD in regards to planning. He says the contracting thing that you, aggroed, came up with to hold Tron Inc. about certainties about Steemit Inc.'s stake. And that contract thing that I mentioned was basically just try to get a letter of intent signed by Justin on chain that, 1, they'll keep the Steem blockchain going, and 2, they will not do witness voting. Which maybe we codify actually through like forcing them to power down that stake before it would be allowed to vote. But so he said, work on the contract with Justin set up a small biz dev group for exchange connections, set up a network of API nodes, and he mentions NEX, Gandalf, and some guy as potential people to help do the network of API nodes. And lastly, he says, always be prepared to fork. So those were comments from Roland P. that I wanted to read. And now I'm going to come back to chat. I think I missed a little bit, but other people that want to talk about planning or collaboration or next steps or how we move forward from the conversation that we heard earlier this afternoon.
Do we want like a hashtag or a Steemit or Steem tag that we could keep this going? As far as like the collaboration. I don't like Steamtron personally, but something similar.
Tronet? Do you want to call it Tronet?
It's all about Steamy.
Steamy.
This is Marky. I wanted to say one thing. Is I think when he said they won't use their stake, I think that was kind of a knee-jerk reaction just to give an answer. I do believe that that's definitely on the table at some point. I don't know if they'll do it, but make no mistake, that is something they will consider. What he said could just mean he's not going to do it today, and tomorrow is a different day. I mean, he really gave no answer.
I have to agree. I don't think he actually knew, even in the context of what stake meant, other than I think I bought a bunch. I mean, it's pretty clear that he has no clue how the governance structure here works in terms of what it could be manipulated to do if he had a buttload of steam. I think he's just like, neat, new shiny thing. But he has a very clear goal in terms of the outcome for Tron. So eventually he will figure it out.
I don't agree with that. There's super representatives on Tron. It's a delegated proof of stake system. My guess is that he
You think he spent a lot of time researching us? Like really in depth?
Pronounce it. He was calling it Steamy, and he obviously can pronounce Steemit. He proved that. And he's calling SMTs MS. He can pronounce SMTs. It wasn't that he couldn't pronounce it. It just he didn't have a freaking clue.
I believe we've probably got about 6 months, and they will spend the next 6 months learning a lot. And after 6 months, the penny will drop, and they'll say, "Holy shit, we own this chain." And so it's our prerogative over the next 6 months or so. And I'm not saying they're going to do anything with that necessarily, but we don't want to have that risk where they know they own the chain and they can start pushing back. And so we've got this next 6 months to come up with a mitigation. And what ideally for me would be that mitigation is in place, not that we fork actually, but we have some preparation in place. And then we approach Tron with this contract idea that you were talking about, aggroed. And we don't have to push it too much, but we just say, look, we've got this in the back pocket. And it'll allow our negotiating stance to be much, much more powerful than what it would be if we tried to do this at the last minute or something when we finally realise that they've figured out what they've got.
This is Mark again. I think we should hold him accountable and keep on him. I think that's a big thing is don't let this disappear and then them go silent and do their scheming behind the scenes. Let's keep on him and keep him accountable to something and kind of get some goals from them and plans and just keep hounding them to get information. If they're not giving us information, then there's a good chance that they're going and doing their thing.
I mean, I like the idea of not just getting a letter of intent, but actually coding in that stake on Steemit is not voting stake. And then, they still have permission to power down and they still have permission to move it. But that would be something to the effect of like a 90-day terms or 91-day terms that in order for you to go fully vote, you would need 91 days. And that seems to me to be you have your stake, you still have a giant say on this platform. And, I imagine a lot of us will, especially if he's developing it or working with it, participate and engage with him. But it would at least give us some notice of bad things are about to go happen or things that this community doesn't necessarily consent to are going to happen. It would give us some time to react.
There is a feature built into the blockchain for this exact same purpose, the decline voting rights, and it's been used a couple times by accident, but it was put in place for Steemit to execute a contract saying that they will do what they said on Bitcoin talk is not use a stake to vote witnesses or vote, but they refused to actually use it. They coded it, but then they decided not to actually execute it. But it's there.
That's not something you can just use a Clive wallet to go set. Okay, hey, I'm going to go shut it off. That would be something like.
Yes, you can.
Oh, you can do.
You
that.
can go in there and just execute the transaction. I don't know if you know Bilal. I don't know. He used to DOS Steam chat all the time, and he actually did it by accident, or he was tricked into it or something. But he did it on his account and had to move accounts. But you can set on your account, and the net account is pretty much dead for any type of voting.
Can you?
And it can't be removed.
Can you undo that?
No, you cannot.
But then you could power down and move it?
Yes, but that would give us time to react. But I don't think they would agree to doing something like that. But I think, I definitely think negotiating with them and getting some terms and getting on them and just being there and talking to them constantly to have a dialogue open, I think is what we need to do.
Is that something where the hard fork could, or even a soft fork, could enable that on one account?
We could force it with a fork, but we don't need to force it if they did it on their own.
I mean, that
Gandalf mentioned that you can undo it within 30 days.
Can you? I thought it was permanent.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with it. I know it exists, but the technicality of it, I don't know.
First 30 days.
Yeah, okay. But Gandalf knows. Gandalf the wizard knows.
I mean, that seems like a relatively benign way to state an opinion to secure what we fear the most, and also not harm another human being. I mean, maybe you would consider that harm still, but they could then move it. I mean, I don't think that this chain would be infinitely willing to like play cat and mouse with this, but that would be enough to sort of provide a buffer. I don't know. That's something that I would consider.
They can move it. It would just take time. But the problem is, I don't think they would make the change. Like, what do they have to gain from it? They don't need to pander to us. And then that's also a big thing to ask them to do without any leverage. This is what we had before when the threat of fork came up. We started talking about leverage and what we can and can't do. And you saw Ned's reaction. He basically doubled down on everything. And when you put somebody in a corner and you back them to a corner or do something like that, it doesn't always go the direction you want it to go in.
Yeah, it's certainly infinitely better if it was voluntary.
If we're asking them,
go ahead.
If we're asking them to sign some type of agreement, I think in there should be something like that. They are not going to ask exchanges to ever, change the Steem token to anything other than the main token on the current Steem blockchain.
Yeah, that's great.
I guess the reality here is... Oh, sorry, I totally cut you off, McFarhad.
No problem. Thank you. So what I'm saying is that really it drills down to opening the streams of communication with the guys. One of the questions I tried to slip through to Justin is about chatting to witnesses and to the community and taking their opinion before taking any massive actions. And I think this is critical going forward to open up a continuous stream of communication. I don't know if Steemit Inc. will remain on this path, or will there be other new people involved from the Trump Foundation? But it's really about starting this communication, this path. Probably the witnesses will be some of the key people to get involved in this, or maybe some other foundation on Steem or group of people to start planning for the future, and maybe start some ideas about maybe some of the concerns of the Steem community and how to go forward about it and all the technical details and stuff. So this would probably start easing up the long-term concerns, and maybe even pushing for some things that like the feature that we can enable that would prevent such voting from going on forward. It's really just about kicking off this communication first and planning properly what we communicate, and of course trying to communicate in a non-hostile manner, because we've seen all the FUD we've had about this acquisition and this move, and it drove a lot of us to react in a concerned manner. So moving or communicating with the Tron team in a hostile manner or a potentially hostile manner would not benefit anyone.
Could I suggest maybe we could ask them to provide a kind of solidarity with the Steem community and allow us to hold a large stake in whatever token it is that they're going to run their Steemtron app with. So the Steem community would hold a significant stake as they hold a significant stake in Steem.
Well, I think one of the sort of things that I'm enjoying this conversation, but, you know, they didn't come into a business agreement with Steem or Steemians. They came into a business agreement with Steemit Inc. And so whether we like it or not, as much as we have the power to plan and, you know, mitigate potential dangers to the chain, we have zero ways of putting pressure or leverage on them as a company. And that's fine. We aren't really the people to be trying to force them to do anything. That deal is done. And so when we have this discussion, I'm a little kind of incredulous that we're even thinking about presenting it in any way that could be other than, hey, we're the Steem community. We're the people that you're really interested in. I kind of want to let you know, here's a cool thing you could do to get everybody on your side. And here's why we think it's a good move for you and a good move for us. You don't really have anything more than that. We can't do anything but ask and say, hey, here's how this is great for you. We have nothing to offer them other than this is why you bought Steem. We can give you a little bit of advice as Steemians, but I am so sort of wanting to move us away from, well, this is how we'll force them, and this is the leverage, and this is what we'll do, because we have none, right? That contract in the back, Steemit is not Steem. Steemit is not Steem. So I kind of want to put that out there. Like, we can't force them, won't be able to force them. And even with a fork, they really won't care. So the idea of utilizing decline voting rights is a fabulous one. How we as the community approach them, and probably block producers open this dialogue, is really going to matter. How we present it is really going to matter. So I think it's really comes down to, this could be a thing that they will be comfortable doing if they're shown why it's good for them as a business, period. Everything is a business decision on their front right now.
I want to chime in on that. This is Frederica here from Steem Press once again. I mean, they clearly want to acquire a user base in a community, but just listening to that talk, and maybe it's just the confusion in his mind, but he many times referred to the Steemit community. And what I don't think he knows, and I'm pretty sure he has this not figured out, is that people don't use Steemit because they like Steemit. People love Steem, and they have to use Steemit, or not have to literally, but they stick around for Steem, not for Steemit. So I have to just finish this one point here, and that is that one of the main reasons why acquisitions often fail is because of clash of culture, ethics, and vision, where the newly acquired company or entity does not share quite the same vision or desire for direction. And so I think that if his goal here is to actually get apps like us or users like all the people listening, they clearly have to understand that they are here because they love Steem and believe in Steem, and not because Steemit was such an amazing application that they wanted to comment on and use. So I think getting that message clearly stated is something that can leverage a lot more impact than even the threat of a fork. Because as Matt has pointed out, it's not something that really they can't deal with. But if they don't get users or apps, then they haven't gotten anything really.
Well said, Frederica. This is Luke Stokes. And one thing I did notice that I'm kind of happy about is that Justin's first comment, his first post on chain, was a comment to the post that I did, which just happened to be trending, which was all about clarifying the difference between Steem, Steemit, the Steem token, the Steem blockchain, and Steemit Incorporated, Steemit.com. And I was trying to go into that conversation like I was doing a couple years ago. So I'm really happy that was his first interaction, where hopefully he read at least some of that post. And I think from there, we now have a framework that is maybe different than we've had. And it's funny, when you said that, it got me thinking about Justin may actually be more in alignment with what the Steem community has wanted, which is marketing and promotion, and we've never had. So in a sense, he actually might be more in alignment with the culture of the community that we've always wanted to see from Steemit Incorporated and never saw, which is a really great user experience and a wonderful promotion of how great this chain is.
I totally agree with that. The like, under the condition of witnesses are not being voted by Steemit stake and the Steem blockchain continues to run, having Justin Sun here, I know he has a mixed reputation, but his ability to get attention and hype, I think, is the best in the industry. And so I would look at that and say, if he is going to respect that many people have built this chain and like this chain, and he honors that and then helps it grow, that could be the one literal thing that we've been asking for from Steemit for years. It was, it's like, market this place, market this place. They're like, well, we'll give you SMTs, and we say, market this place, market this place. So here is a guy that can help market this place. I think he's one of the best in the industry. And so from that end, it could be extremely helpful. And Block Trades, you lit up briefly. Is there something that you would like to add? I hear him typing. All right. Others about planning and sort of how we move forward based off of what we heard. Dan, go for it.
Yeah, they call me Dan. First off, I want to say I'm actually extremely bullish. I think that if any entrepreneur or any hustler can take this and run with it, right, the Steem community can rise to the challenge. I think we're a bunch of go-getters. So I'm very optimistic. I'm actually buying the dip. No financial advice. I think this is bullish for proof of brain websites. We have a top project in the ecosystem, hundreds of millions of dollars. They thought it was viable to buy Steem and Steemit, right? That's very bullish for investors around, in all circles. So I think going back to what we were talking about earlier, I think, we have to walk quietly but carry a big stick. I really think we should have all options on the table. I'm not technically inclined to talk about the forking and all that, but I think having everything on the table, having everything available, and being prepared, like Marines, ready to go for whatever option comes close. But I do think as a community, we should be very optimistic about this, and we should be grabbing as much of this as possible. Steemits blew up on Voice Day. Everyone's talking about Steem. Everyone's talking about Steemit. You got Tron, giant ecosystem, brand new, all promoting Steem. One of the biggest shillers in the Twitter crypto, if you're talking about Tron and Ripple, right? Those are the two that everybody talk about. We can really bandwagon this thing. Nothing's happening immediately. I don't get that sense. I don't think he's lying. I don't think there's about to be a ninja token swap or a hostile takeover tomorrow. That gives us time. So I think the team didn't have a clue. I'd say they have a little bit of a clue, but I think this happened really quick. I think it leaked faster than they thought. I'll get back to what Marky was saying. I think this did come out a little earlier. So they're trying, they're messing up on their PR releases. The AMA was kind of flustered. I think Justin saw an opportunity to fuck over Voice, bought Steemit. It leaked early, so here we are. I don't think they're in any position to start voting in witnesses and try to mess up their investment at all. So, I really want to talk to Inc devs. I really want to see Inc's position. I've been talking to people separately, but I really want to see a cohesive message on what they see. They say no harm will come to Steem. What does that mean? And I'm not opposed to upgrading technology as long as it's mutual. If the communities come together and say, yes, this makes sense, we can use Tron for smart contracts, we keep most of the tech on Steem, however that's going to work, if we're like a stack, right? If we're like a side chain, whatever you want to call it, if we're just a layer in their stack, but we remain Steem, that's what I want. I want DPoS on the Steem chain. I don't want to be on top of Tron's DPoS and lose our Steem, which I don't think is going to happen. Maybe down the road, that's the goal. But I think as a community, we can really strong arm, get together with Inc. and really sort of steer this ship. It's not his ship, right? He came on board. Keep that in mind. We're the captains. We can let him captain it if we want, or we can stand up. We've been here for 4 years. A lot of people have been here for 4 years. And represent what we've built, and really we're not children. We're adults at the table. We have a say. We're a decentralized blockchain. That's where we need to approach it. Optimistic, aggressive, confident, but also cautious and ready for whatever happens. That's the way I would approach it.
Other folks that want to talk about plans and sort of future.
There was one thing he mentioned, which was about games on Tron, and it gave me a little bit of flashbacks to mid 2017, early 2018, when we had an active D Live still on Steem and quite a booming app ecosystem. And my vision really for this place was for Steem to be this universal social platform where you could have all of these different social, everything from a SoundCloud like D-Sound and all of these things coming together, but and where it's tailored around all these different platforms, so that if you're a gamer and you want to share your videos, but you also want to stream and you also want to share on social media, you don't need one Facebook account, one Twitter account, one Twitch account, one YouTube account, and one whatever else account. You have this one Steem account, and it works across. But I think what we really saw in the following year was that Steem really tried perhaps to be a little bit too much, and attention were all over the place, and it lacked a few key components to enable that to happen. But I think that being with Tron in this way and piggybacking them wanting to be an alternative to Ethereum that hosts the games themselves, there's a real opportunity there to still realize that vision in the way that Call Me Dan said, which is that you have the Steem infrastructure for the social aspects of all of these things, and then you also make use of the Tron's smart contracts. So if I purely look at this from the side of a DApp runner myself, I almost entirely see positive things. The only negative thing is, of course, the FUD regarding my own token holdings, and of course as a witness position too. But that's where I want to see us have that vision for Steem and use all of these opportunities to get there. And whether we end up forking or not, growing with this momentum is only a good thing, right? So that's what I want us to think about.
One of the cool, interesting clues here is people talking about Justin Tron's ability to market. Yeah, this guy is he's like second to none. It's going to be really interesting to see if he only plugs his own SteemTron platform, or if he also brings the Steem community into some of that marketing effort that he does. And I wonder if we can get a way of holding him to account on that, bringing him up, giving him suggestions, giving him tasks that he can go do for the community, maybe asking him if we can do anything for him, those types of things.
Okay. I guess we've been doing this, started at noon. So maybe we'll take the next 20 minutes to sort of wind down here. And then, so I want to wind down the witness side of this. And then I want to go sort of open this up to everybody. If you have kind of like some summary thoughts that you'd like to share sort of after hearing all this, and just sort of like where your gut's at, what you want people to know. And then at that point, I'd like to sort of, hopefully the witnesses will still join us, but then I want to go try to let people come on air that aren't the witnesses to share some of their concerns or their needs. But it's actually getting a little difficult to manage. So I want to move the witnesses into the main chat, welcome people from the community into the online air or the live on air, and move it from there. So closing thoughts for the witness panel. Are there what do you want people to leave with? What is your gut reaction? How are you feeling? Take this however you want and give us some thoughts.
I was going to say something really quick. This is exactly here. Just wanted to say something really quick about what's going on here. I think that it doesn't have to be so negative. We should be a lot more positive about these types of things. Acquisitions happen all the time in the big world and everything, like in the corporate world and all that kind of stuff. And if we actually had some kind of connection with the people behind Tron and the fact that they have bought BitTorrent, which is 100 million users there, there's a lot of value that could come to Steem if we play our cards right. Like what Crimson Cloud said, that we don't really have to think about forking and trying to cut people out of their own stake that they paid for and they got involved with this. Although I really think Ned should have gotten more involved with the whole community here and everything and made it clear that he was going to do that before he did it. I think, what are your guys' thoughts on that? And then that's a good, I'll close right there. But other than that, I think we could be a lot more positive than negative. And yeah, I'll leave it there.
Others that want to give summary thoughts.
I would say just a reminder to breathe. Everyone just slow down and breathe. Recognize this entire space is really, really early. The price of Tron, the price of Steem, they go up and down with the price of Bitcoin, which goes up and down based on global events and people's concerns about fiat and all that. The entire space is super, super early, very early on. And so it's easy to get all flustered and emotional, concerned about these things. But ultimately, if we're even involved in crypto and blockchain, really early. So just keep that in mind. We got some amazing future in the next 5-10 years that this space is going to be amazing. And just keep in mind that we're early and breathe.
And I think when the bulls come back too, like the bulls have already tested the market a couple of times, Steem's going to go back up regardless of who owns it. I don't know why people think who really cares about who owns the thing. Nobody really owns Bitcoin, and yet Bitcoin goes up and down, whatever, right? Who really cares about who owns the thing? It's more about whether we get engaged with the people who have the money, who have the skill, who have the knowledge, and let the people, like obviously who bought the corporation side of things, know what our intentions are. And hopefully that we don't have the intentions of trying to go against them, because that's not. I don't feel that would be the best way to go. But we should definitely keep our options open. I do agree that a lot of things that people said today.
I saw Jarvie and Justa light up. Let's go do Jarvie then Justa next.
All right. So my gut feeling you asked for, and I think I'm optimistic, but cautious. Of course, we still need to make sure that we can't be taken advantage of in the future. But there's a lot of things that he can bring to the table. I think it's awesome. And we can make sure that Steemit keeps on. If it's true that they are pretty much independent, like you said, I don't think that's completely true, but it's still the Steemit team that we're going to be interacting with and talking to a lot. And I'd love to see Justin using Steem more often. And then posting links. That's just kind of an easy thing we could do as well. But I'm optimistic. This is Jarvie from Steem Peak.
I guess I'm going to skip Justa. I can see Matt Stalkers light up. Why don't you give us some closing thoughts?
Yeah, thanks. Hey, this is Starkers from 3Speak. For me, this is a massive, massive, massive opportunity. I think we've hit the jackpot really in terms of the potential of this. The funding available now to this ecosystem means that everything's going to get completed. It's a massive opportunity, along with the marketing that Justin Sun brings. Exactly, we didn't mention it much on the stream, but BitTorrent, that is a massive user base. All we got to do is build an app that makes it easy for BitTorrent to come use a blockchain without knowing that they're using a blockchain, and we could grow immensely. That is massive, and he I'm sure will actively push that for us as well. We absolutely have to get our butts covered. We have to get this mitigation in place. We'd be crazy not to, because we've built so much wonderful stuff over the last 4 years that not to protect it now would be a bit crazy and just to kind of naively go into this assuming that everything's going to be okay. But once we've got that protection in place, this is almost a guaranteed winner. You know, it's massive for Steem, and I'm very, very excited about what the future brings in that regard.
Other folks want to give some closing thoughts?
I'll jump in if nobody's chomping at the bit. So, I mean, I feel like I talked a lot, said a lot of the same stuff. I mean, I am optimistic on a level that with Ned, we were not optimistic. And I think that's kind of the clearest distinction that I can make today personally is, you know, regardless of how we felt about the Steemit Inc. team, regardless of how we have felt about overall blockchain development, you know, Ned has been problematic for us. And I think if nothing else, we have somebody now who is excited, who is a hype machine. And yeah, I mean, he's got his own reputation. But what I can appreciate about Justin, and I think that you guys can take away and appreciate about Justin, is that he is a businessman. He's focused on making money, and he's focused on doing it in a way that brings him joy and fun. That's cool, and we can use that energy. So for me, I remain at arm's length from some of the tech stuff right now, because I think there's going to be some very large discussions in the background with the Steemit Inc. team, and then, of course, trying to pull them into the light. But I think on a sort of first blush kind of level, if parts of us in the community can reach out to him and just say, yeah, here's why we love Steem so much. Here are the parts of Steem that have never been highlighted and that have never been shared, and for whatever reason people aren't making money from, I think that's going to pique his interest, and I think that's something that he can help us do that we haven't capitalized on. So I mean, regardless of where the tech goes and what happens with the underlying blockchain, this is absolutely an opportunity to have people all over the internet saying our name. Because whether you like it or not, and whether you're a Justin Sun fan or not, even the people who say they hate him talk about him all the time. And that's valuable. We've done a terrible job at that. So let's use him at the very least.
Others want to share some closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'll echo some of that. This is Frederica here again from Steem Press. That it's not like there wasn't problems before. So if you can't find anything to be optimistic about on all of this, if you think everything is going worse, then I think you're not fully appreciating just how bad things looked 1 year ago when we were all here. It's the last time that there were this much people joining the Discord for all the wrong reasons. And so I think that giving this injection of capital, energy, and potential is more than quite a few people could have hoped for. Is it what we would have? Is it a dream come true with everything going perfect? Probably not, and you're not going to get that. But I think there's a lot to work with here. And I think that for the next few days is a good moment for a bit of reflection, as I said earlier, about what are the reasons that you are still here? What are the things that you wish we would just let go alongside with Ned and all of the rest? And what are the fundamental building blocks that we want to really double down on and punch hard on as we move forward? Because every time there's energy like this, it's an opportunity to use it for motivation and to get things done. And at the end of the day, we all want our tokens to be more valuable. There's no point in, just making a ride because one can. So I am also bullish. I'm still cautious, and our team will be heavily involved in, all the scenario planning that are being discussed here and there. Because we need a blockchain infrastructure like Steem that can handle fast transactions and can do all the things that it does. And we don't see Tron doing it anytime soon. But we also think that there's a lot of potential here, and we want to, make the best of it. So I hope it can be a good story at the end of the day.
I guess for my own thoughts, what I would share is, for now, echoing Justin's for now, I'm actually kind of excited. I think the marketing and the capital are going to be great for us. And I believe that to be true as long as Steem is listed on exchanges, this blockchain runs, and he's not voting witnesses. Um, and if those three things are happening, then I think that we're in a fantastic spot. And and if it's the opposite, where he's either voting witnesses or threatening to stop the chain, or he can do like I would be excited to see some sort of Tronet thing on Tron and seeing what do they come up with and how does it work over there. But I wouldn't want to see that at the expense of this. They have Tron. They can go build social media on Tron as well. Maybe that becomes a thing. Maybe there are airdrops. But the piece that was alarming to me was a token swap, and that didn't sound healthy. But it also sounds like, at least for now, they've backed off on it. So as long as those answers of "for now" continue to be "for now" through an indefinite time span, then I'm on the happy mode. And if we can figure out either a contract or a letter of intent or something with them, then I really would have a hard time seeing this as anything other than fantastic news. But before I get there, I'm still at it's good for now. Others.
One other thing then, so does anybody here at all know Justin? Like, has anybody ever done any business with him? Is anybody, is there any investors in Tron here? I mean, it's that kind of thing, right? Now that we have Steem bought by Tron, shouldn't we try to get some of the big Tron whale, Tron supporter type, those people to teach them about Steem? Wouldn't that be a good idea, guys?
I was at Token Fest in Boston September last year, and we met Roy from the lead business development manager of Tron, and even back then they had a separate meeting with us, and we took them for lunch, and they were talking a lot about integrating Tron into Steem back then. So I'm more than happy to reach out to him and see if we can create him a community or something. I don't know, so some kind of friendly gesture to bring them on. Certainly think it's a good idea.
I think it'd be a really good idea, or even like just going into the Telegram, their Discord, that kind of thing, reaching out to the moderators there, just letting them know this has happened. It's happened. So it's obviously not a myth anymore. It was a myth a few weeks ago. Remember we were talking about Google or Tron going to buy Steem. Well, it happened. So now we got to go out there, and I think we should, as marketers, as networkers, as entrepreneurs, whatever we are, and go out there and let them know, invite them into the Steem community, and just let them know that this is happening. You know what I mean? It's not just a myth anymore. If that makes sense.
Anybody else?
I think aggroed wants to move.
No. Anybody else want to give some closing thoughts? All right. I guess will the witnesses kindly, if they care to join and listen to the rest of the community, could you guys kindly move yourselves into the main audience room? And then if there are other people that would like to speak who are not witnesses or sort of major stakeholders, I'd like to welcome the entire community. Hopefully some of the moderators can help sort of do this, help manage this process. I'd like, if you'd like to talk, you have the ability to go hop into the waiting room. Please hop into the waiting room, and then you're welcome to share any thought. There's a lot of people, so let's try to keep it to 1 or 2 minutes only. Yeah, anybody should be able to go speak. So if you guys can go hop into waiting room, and if some of the mods can help manage the transition from waiting room to live on air to back into the main chat channel, that would be great. And I really don't want to moderate this thing at all other than time. So I'm asking you to keep it to 2 minutes or less because we have a lot of voices that might want to come on. But you are welcome to talk about any topic that you feel like doing. And hey, please don't put them all right into live on air. Please put them into waiting room and then bring them into live on air. And Anthony, it seems like you are live and I can hear you through the mic. So why don't you kick us off?
All right, good deal. So I'm sorry, folks, if I kind of jumped the gun. I know some of y'all think that Justin could be good for Steem. I am concerned about the whole potential for the Steem stake to be used to put in new witnesses and try to get us over to Tron. I don't know if that's his intention. Maybe not, but I mean, that Medium article, it really spooked me. Okay, and that's why I immediately sprung into action. I went and revisited Jay Nordberg's old fork or excuse me, pull request for removing the Steemit stake. Now I get that, I understand the ethical implications, but I want. If there's a possibility of it, basically like freezing it so we can figure it out, kind of come to an agreement and keep Steem alive. That's my paramount concern. So yeah, maybe I don't always go about it the right way. And maybe I'm a little aggressive. But y'all know I care about this blockchain. I put so much in the Steem Flag Awards things. I have so many ideas that I have yet to realize, and I just how do we, first of all, if they start voting witnesses, what's the contingency? Do we have contingencies for this scenario, that scenario? I want something like, how do we say it? Concrete, something not like we'll wait and see, but excuse me. Yeah, I didn't get any sleep last night working on that pull request. I don't know if I did it. There was like about 11 files that needed conflict resolution. Y'all could check it out. I posted it. Yeah, maybe it was just kind of like guns a-blazing. I'm already posting these hard fork Rising Sun, hard fork 23 Rising Sun. It's just I felt like we needed to act. I felt like I didn't want the rug to get pulled out from under us, because I tend to I'm a wary kind of person. I'm maybe a little paranoid, but I think sometimes it can serve the people around me. I just that's basically how it went down. How are we gonna respond? And what's the plan in specific terms? I guess we need to write something up.
Great. Thank you, Anthony. Anthony, can you move yourself into the other main chat room? And I have Richard Krill muted. Thing. I'm going to... Discord's acting up, so somebody could help me by unmuting Richard. And then we're going to let Richard speak. And then I'm going to invite Riverhead to speak. And then I'm happy to go take another person on air. Richard, are you there?
Yes. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Please, what's your comment or concern?
Yeah, no, I'd just like to try to put everybody's minds at ease a little bit if I could. I really respect what Anthony said. I understand his concerns. But I think, Aggroed, you hit the nail on the head like you usually do. There's positives and possible negatives here. I think the positives are very clear. I think there's some things up in the air, like you mentioned, Aggroed. If Sun does start trying to vote in witnesses and take, a strong control, then there is, some things we'll have to deal with there. And I think what Anthony was talking about was a plan of action if that takes place. But overall, I also completely agree with what They Call Me Dan said. This is bullish, definitely.
Oops. He got kicked out of live on air. Maybe he dropped. Discord is acting a little wonky. So I'm going to go. Here's Riverhead. Riverhead joined by mistake. Okay, that's all right. Let's go pull up. I'm going to try to get Lion Danny in here. Live on air. Lion Danny, you are muted on your end. You can unmute and come share whatever thought you have. Lion Danny, are you there? You're live. All right, I guess I'll leave Lion Danny there for a second, and let's go. Nathan Sen, I heard was a Tron developer. So Nathan, you are. Why don't you give a quick introduction? You are live on air, Nathan. Can you say hello? You have to unmute yourself. Nathan is apparently not ready. Let's go try to grab somebody else. I see Gold Key. I'm going to go move Gold Key on air. Gold Key, you're live and I can hear you.
Yay. Okay, Gold Key. Just a couple of questions or comments or observations. So if next week we get Steemit.com, that's a Tron-based site, would it even be safe for us to enter our keys, such as could they automatically just take over our account and now our Steem is all gone? The other question I have would be, isn't it the case that whatever the Tron-based Steem would be, it would only be valued at whatever Ned's stake is or was? Those are questions or comments.
I'm not sure that I can tell you what the value will be. Generally, just across the entire platform, my suggestion is always to use browser extensions that encrypt your keys. So the way that Steem used to work and still can work is that you do things like put your posting key in, your active key, or your master password. I am not a big fan of that in the slightest. This is part of why Matt and I and Studkev created Steem Keychain, and why things like TronLink and why MetaMask exist. You shouldn't ever be putting your keys into anything. So my advice to you would be, if any kind of product is released, then that you could interact with as a dApp, then that sounds like fun, but don't put your key in there. To me, the story's always been something like, if you want to buy gum at CVS and the teller asks you for your username and password to your bank account, that's bad. So,
I guess my only other comment would be if the witnesses would kind of like, I've got certain witnesses I voted for, and so if there might be a break between the witnesses, their positions, and so if you posted your positions, I'd be happy to vote for the ones I agree with. So that's it. That's all I had for comments. Thank you.
I guess I should add that there's not any evidence that they are immediately doing anything like that. So maybe there will be a Tronet and it will be separate from Steemit. And maybe everybody will eventually have no other options other than Tronet, or more likely just Steemit would cease supporting their Steemit.com front end. And if we do end up having some other chain, then that other chain, all of the governance would be based off of that token and the rules for that token and that ecosystem. And things like delegation or things like how witness voting works here may or may not be anything over there. So who knows? It's way too early to tell or say any answers. Just but as a general precaution, don't put your keys into websites.
Well, I mean, it could be that we go to Steemit.com and now it's a new thing, and in the background, it is going to write to the Steemit, the Steem blockchain, but also write to the Tron-based chain and switch things over and transfer our Steem into something else or someone else's account, and got Tron.
Okay, hello.
And that'd be a way they could accomplish it.
And something like cross-posting would be a lot of fun and cool. That's a sort of like mutual voluntary agreement. Those kinds of things are awesome. All right, let's
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Shit, I can't see your name again. Nathan Sen, maybe? Yeah, Nathan. Are you,
Yes.
all right? I can hear you. And can somebody please
my
move?
mic fixed now. So I've been in Steam for a while and kind of seen the progression of things. And I'm actually a blockchain developer myself. I don't work on the Tron project, but I do understand a lot of the underlying technology. And something that I haven't heard, discussed is the idea that Steem could become a DApp on Tron. So the entire Steem blockchain could remain the same. The protocols, everything that we have right now on Steem could remain the same and be put on the Tron blockchain as a DApp. And that may be what they are planning to do. And I just wanted to hear what everybody else's ideas or thoughts on that would be. That Steem as it is, or what it is right now, would remain the same. The coins would remain the same. We would not really notice a difference in what we have other than that Steem becomes a DApp on Tron.
I mean,
That's just
to me, that sounds like a wonderful option that they could employ at their will, because that's voluntary. They own devs, they own servers, they own Tron. If they would like to go make Steemit, but move it to Tronit.com and power Tronit.com with Tron that maybe they get from Justin Sun and the Tron Foundation or from Block Rewards, that sounds awesome. But getting rid of Steemit.com and canceling the Steem blockchain to then force everybody to use a Tron thing sounds less awesome.
I don't think that would make sense for him to do. I mean, it wouldn't be in his interest to do that, because I mean, if he does that, it's basically stated that we're going to fork away from whatever. If he wants to change Steem from what it is now, as far as the protocols that are in place, I don't think people are going to go for that. Now, Steem could run as a DApp on Tron, on the Tron blockchain, especially if they develop the Tron blockchain to work better than it currently does right now. Steem could, all the data from Steem could be, put onto the Tron network, and we still use Steem coin, and it would all work the same. It would be like the Steem blockchain is now ported into the Tron blockchain. And that may not make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but it can definitely work. There's a lot of technical aspects to making that work, but it's definitely, and that could be, I feel like that's more likely. They don't know how to explain it, but I feel like that's more likely what they're going to do. I don't think that Steem's going to change to some other token. I think that Steem will remain the same, because it wouldn't be in their interest. They're going to have such bad backlash. The Steem community is very large. The market cap may be not as high as Tron, but that's not a good ratio of dedicated users to go off. I think the Steem community has a massive amount of dedicated users, and I think that if Justin doesn't see that, or he tries to basically destroy what Steem is right now, then it would have an extremely negative backlash.
All right, thank you, Nathan. I'm going to go to Atma next. Atma, man, Discord is acting a little funky here. Yeah, it's showing me tools that I can't quite operate here. It's hide muted channels, create channel. It's giving me like administrative things. So Discord's acting a little wonky. Give me just a second now. Atma, you should feel free to speak. I can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay, so I'm Atma. I'm quite a new Steemian. I've only been here for 5 weeks, but I love what I see. I see huge potential. I I've been investing, cashing in my pension pot, or part of it, and buying Steam Power, even an extra 4,500 this evening. One of the things I'm particularly bullish about is something called the Matrix 8 multi-level governance platform that was proposed by John Huckle. His username is Matrix-8, and I say it has the potential to bring billions of users to Steam. So that's one of the reasons I'm so confident. And it's basically it's a world-changing platform. I think that's all I have to say for now.
Awesome. Thank you, Edmund, and welcome to Steam.
Thank you.
Jack, I've unmuted you. Can you speak? Hi, Jack.
Hey, good day. Yeah, just Jack Miller here, one of the backup witnesses. I've got a few opinions which are opinionated, obviously. They're one-sided. I'm a very loyal to Steemian type of character. Most people understand that know me. But to cut a long story short, it really boils down to what we, the people, we, the Steemians, because that's what he's acquired. That's what he has purchased. He's made that clear that he wants the community. He wants us. So it's really, we decide what we want to do, and for our governance model, our top 20 witnesses plus, I'll say one, as per the voting structure, to decide what we want to do and what we shall do. I don't believe in the theory of everybody has a price. That is how Justin Sun works. It works for him. It works in his business model. But Steem is a lot more than money ever will be. That's really it. I just wanted to voice my opinion loud and clear, and I'm sure that I'm not the only person who thinks along those lines or in some variable of that. Thanks for the chance to say something.
All right. Thank you, Jack. Jack, I'm going to move you. Yep, I can move you. I'm going to move you back into general voice. And Midlet. Shit. If somebody could unmute Midlet, move Nathan, and unlock Richard Krill. Yeah, Discord is having a hard time with so many people in voice. All right, it's Midlet, you're there. Can you speak?
Yep. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. What would you like to share?
Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to share a few thoughts. So a couple of things. Like, I think that the scared reaction from everybody was justified. I shared in that just because of the announcements, the talk of token swap, all that. That sounded really terrible. That sounded very much like what people are assuming, that this was like some sort of takeover. But after listening to the AMA, I've kind of fallen on the positive side of this, and I think that it's definitely in Justin Sun's financial interest to do what we all sort of want him to do. He didn't just buy Steemit, he also just bought a ton of Steem, the actual token. So I don't think that it is a big stretch to say that it might not matter to him that much whether Steem goes up, Tron goes up, whatever. He will benefit either way because he now owns a ton of Steem. So if it seems like that the best play for him, for his value to increase, is for Steem to go up, then I think that it will make sense that that's what he'll do. I think the whole for now that he threw in there was, well, what if the value of Steem isn't going up? What if he leaves it alone and it just completely fails? Then I think that it would make sense, since he just invested a ton in buying Steemit and buying all that Steem, to make a change. But I think that if it looks like what we are on track to do is going to increase in value, is going to increase the value of Steem and therefore increase the value of his holdings, then that's what obviously makes the most sense. So I think that in terms of us as a community, what we should kind of do and focus on moving forward is just what we've already been doing, is basically taking all the stuff that's been in development, which he's just come out and said, yes, continue to work on SMTs. Yes, we're going to roll forward with communities. No, I'm not going to touch Steem, and I'm not going to use my stake to vote on witnesses. That's basically the best thing that we could have asked for. The whole him saying, again, not yet, is just like, well, of course, what if all that stuff starts to fail? Then it makes sense that he's going to want to protect his investment and then make some changes. But if all that stuff is succeeding, then I think that it would make the most sense financially, just from a logical standpoint, for him to push towards the positive momentum. So I think that with all that said, this is all a positive thing. With his money and marketing and him out there shilling Steem, this is kind of like the best thing that we could have asked for. Obviously, it was really scary. I totally agree with everybody who's saying we should have some sort of backup Black Swan event plan. I think that's all absolutely right. But I think that for now, this is very bullish, and that we should, be happy about it and support all the dApps. He talked about an accelerator program. Nobody really mentioned that, but he said an accelerator program for all the Steem dApps, so that potentially apps other than Steemit will be getting support from him and from Tron. This is all incredibly good news. So maybe let's just kind of think about it like that.
Awesome. Thank you, Midlet. Midlet, can you move yourself back to general voice? And Richard Krill, you are welcome on. If there's other people that want to speak, you're certainly welcome to join the waiting room. You just click into the waiting room, and then as people cycle through, I'll try to let everybody speak. Exactly, I see you're still in here. Since you had time on air, I was going to give other folks a chance to talk. But if you're the last one standing, then, or if there's a break, then I'm happy to go have you share your thoughts. So, Richard Krill, come share your thoughts.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, sorry about that earlier. I'm used to being on Discord on the computer, so I'm on my phone, so it's a little different. But basically, yeah, this is Richard Krill. I started the Weed Cache tribe. Yeah, so I basically going to echo what They Call Me Dan said and what aggroed said. Yeah, this is bullish. As a businessman myself, I'm glad to see an actual businessman taking control of Stink, especially with one that has such a clear capability to market things, which, like y'all said, is exactly what we need. It's the big piece that's been missing. So definitely bullish on all this. This is a good thing. I also, as usual, aggroed, you hit the nail on the head. I think there's still some question marks here. The things that are clear are positive. The things that are unclear are things that could possibly be negative, but we just don't know yet. Just the fact that Justin's son, Tron, he likes to make money. So he's gonna, I can't imagine, I can, but I wouldn't think that he would want to go against the community, do a hostile takeover. That'd be a lot of work, and it wouldn't be profitable. So I don't think, I'm not really worried about that. I do think it does make sense, even if, because there's a small possibility, to have a plan of action in order is a good idea. But another thing that gives me great confidence is we've got a lot of intelligent people here, witnesses that are, on top of shit, on top of things. They want to make sure, that all this hard work that we've put in to build here is not gonna be, thrown away. So I'm just really confident that even in the worst case scenario, we will react the way we need to. So I don't think there's any reason to panic. I think the possible downsides are very small and something that we can adjust to and overcome. I think the upside is huge. I think the potential is great. And yeah, I'm overall bullish on this. I haven't bought Steem in a long time, and because I'm earning it, and I bought in a long time ago. But now's the time to buy Steem. No financial advice, but I'm buying Steem just like They Call Me Dan said. This is an opportunity. This is a good thing. So I just hope I can try to help put everybody's mind at ease, because this is good stuff. That's all I had to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Richard. Richard, can you move yourself back into general? And then I'm going to ask for a little bit of help. Give me a second to turn off my mic here. Yeah, Discord is still wonky with this many people. I could use help to unmute Brian, and then I'll. Looks like I'll have it exactly on next. And then if there's still a couple people that want to talk, they're certainly welcome on air. There we go.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm on.
Yeah,
Hi.
I can hear you.
Hi, I'm Brian of London. I do a lot of stuff with Three Speak guys, but I'm relatively new. I wanted to echo this. I think positivity. I don't think we've got anything to gain by a lot of negativity, and we've got plenty to gain by positivity with just pumping up the benefits of Steem. Because I'm a relative newbie, but there's just nothing else like Steem out there that I stumbled across it. I stumbled across the capabilities of immutable blogging and just knowing that anything I write is going to be up there and stays up there. This, I don't think Tron or any of these other people, they just haven't seen the potential. And when, I've been using Steem Engine and a small token issue on Steem Engine, again, there's nothing like it. There's nothing so simple as this. And I think we need to pump it up such that Justin Tron knows that he's accidentally bought something bigger than he realized because of what's on the way. That's just my 2 cents.
All right. Well, thank you, Brian in London. Maybe somebody can help me.
All right.
Unmute.
I'm moving back.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. All right, I was able to unmute exactly. What is there? Actually, before you go, if there are other folks, if nobody else goes into the MSP Waves waiting room, then I'll start winding down this chat. And but otherwise, I'm happy to keep going as long as people want to keep sharing thoughts. Exactly, if you have thoughts to share, please do.
Okay. Yeah, just really in closing, because I'm going to take off as well. But everybody should really keep their heads up on this and not think of it as something bad. We could look at it bad, but that's not going to, like I said, that's not going to fix. I don't think that's going to fix anything. And if there's anyone that knows, like I said earlier, I feel I'm just repeating myself, but if there's anyone that knows the people there, the best thing to do is to get to know those guys, bring them over to Steem and educate them and teach them that that there is nothing like this out there. I agree with the doctor. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but yeah, I agree with what he said. That there's a lot of value here. There's a lot of smart people here. There's a lot of intelligent people here, and they didn't just go buy a chain per se. They didn't really buy the chain, right? Is that what you guys are making clear here? I'm not all that technical, so I don't understand all that. But they didn't buy really the chain. They bought the corporation, right?
Yeah, so this gets back to the difficulty of there's 3 things that are called Steem. There's Steemit.com, which is a website portal that people use. There's Steemit Inc., which is a corporation that has employees and money and holdings, and they write code and support open source development. And then the third thing is there's a token called Steem that is I guess it's a cryptocurrency and a blockchain. So there's a lot of things with the same name, which is why people confuse it so freaking much. But what Tron purchased are they purchased, and I don't have the agreement, but this is what I'm assuming. They purchased 75-ish million Steem, which is about 20% of the total supply. They purchased Steemit.com as a domain that hosts an open source program on GitHub, to which they control that library on GitHub. And they purchased a fair amount of infrastructure that they use to go run and support this blockchain. And then they also have the lead developers of Vandenberg, Justin W., Steve, I think it's Gerbino, and then Roadscape, who is the primary on communities and the condenser, which is the Steemit front end. So all of that got bundled into what they're doing, and that's what they purchased. What they did not purchase is a decentralized blockchain and all the people on it. This isn't a plantation. We are not slaves. We are humans with voluntary actions and choices. And if we don't like their direction, we are entirely free to go somewhere else. But
Can they force like a KYC or something like that to try to stop people from being able to take their coins out or things like
they
that?
certainly could on the Steemit.com front end. And they could at another site that they control, like Poloniex. But you can't unless there's a hard fork that has some kind of code for KYC in it. You can't enforce it at the blockchain level, only at the front end level. So they can do whatever they want on Steemit.com. They own it. That's theirs. That is not a public repository or a public thing. Steemit.com is theirs. The program that powers that is called Condenser, and that's open source, which is why we have a lot of tribes. You just make a tribe called Palnet.io or Neoxian, Neoxian.city, and you can have your own freaking tribe that's powered by Condenser. And then those tribes, the people that purchase those domains, they own that. They have dominion over that. But they own an interface to the blockchain. They do not own the blockchain.
Okay.
All right.
That makes a lot of sense now. Okay.
Rock on. All right. Well, thank you. Exactly. I'm going to go switch over to the clown. This is station manager Rondon. Ron, are you there?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Anything you want to share?
Well, first I got to say my battery is only at 10%, so I'll have to make this quick. But I got to say, I am really, really happy today to see the entire community, just the outpouring of opinions, and just this is really something that's crazy that's brought this community together that I haven't seen in a long, long time. Ever since this is even bigger than the fork the Steemit stakeout thing that happened, several months back. So I'm really, really happy to see, we got a lot of flag wars going on. We got a lot of disagreements on the chain going on. But, this is, sometimes it takes a common interest to really put things into perspective. So I'm really happy to see what's going on now. And yes, I got some opinions here about all this. And I'm not quite sure. I was doing a little bit of sound checking in MSP Ways waiting room, so I'm not quite sure if anybody's already said this, and some people have kind of already touched on this, but we've got Ned leaving, selling Steemit Inc. and all of his stake to Justin's son. Now, to put this in perspective, for the last 3 years, I've heard pretty much nothing but bitching about Ned from everybody. And I agree. Like, Ned kind of was a drain on the Steem blockchain. I don't think I'm alone on that opinion. He seemed to be kind of daydreaming while nothing got done, and that's just what we had. Now Ned is finally out of the way. He sold his stake and sold it to somebody who actually can market too. That's another thing. One of the biggest, Steem has had some good technology. It's got a great community, but we've never really had any marketing. And we have a person owning a large stake in the platform that knows how to fucking market. So I can be pretty pessimistic because there's some things about Justin's son that. Some rumors, and I haven't done my own research yet, so I'm not quite sure, but there's been some rumors about him which aren't all that appealing. But there is a potential for an upside here. And I don't think forking Steem and trying to get it relisted and going through the painful process of all that is at all wise right now. So we've got, we're at a impasse right now. We're at a kind of a, we're at a critical point in this blockchain of possible new beginnings a possible reemergence of Steem as one of the top cryptos on the crypto market watch. And I am a little bit wary. I know Wu is of the opinion that he bought this stake. Like, why shouldn't he be able to vote with it? I'm that Steemit Inc. stake really shouldn't be voting. At least not not all 40 something million. I think it's 43 million if you add them all together. I'm not quite sure though. I haven't looked in a long time. But
he's got 75.
75 million?
Yeah. That's what I mean, I don't have that number exactly, but that's what the all of the Steem owns a lot of different accounts. It looked like it was somewhere between 50 to 100. I didn't count them. They all changed to the same key on the same day. And within those, I believe was 73 million. I'm rounding to 75 because there might be some others, but that's
yeah, it
the
looks
total.
like the audience agrees.
So, and the reason, so I put this in a post, but I don't think everybody reads my posts, which is fine. But the challenge with that amount is that Yaba P. Matt, who's the number one witness on Steem, is backed by 46 million Steem power. And he's the top witness, which means Justin can vote 30 times for 30 random people and go vote in 30 brand new witnesses. Because his one vote alone is more than the entire vote that's currently sitting on our number one witness. So that's the reason why people are concerned, because then he can make whatever hard fork he wants. Then he can propose or like vote any proposal that he wants. And certainly that's a lot of stake to go mess around with the rewards pool and like what content people get to view. So, it's not quite a 51% attack where it is 100% guaranteed he has enough to do whatever he wants. But from a practical standpoint, in our very current situation, he has enough stake to do whatever he wants on this chain. And, I think that's where, like, when the witnesses are a little bit freaked out about somebody with that much power that, Ned did a little bit of voting. He's got some, Mr. Delegation kind of goes out there and is voting some projects and whatever. But in the grand scheme, that's kind of small compared to what he could have done, which is vote in whichever witnesses he wanted. So the same situation currently exists now with Justin Sun. The difference is that there's not sort of a tacit agreement or any history of like acknowledging that, all right, I'm not going to vote witnesses with this. Or I guess in Ned's case, it might be something like, I'm not going to vote witnesses unless you threaten to fork me. But that's kind of where we're at. I mean, that's why it's enough steam that it is alarming. Having a freedom around can be scary and has a dominating effect, but it is not a guarantee. I think I'm the only witness in the top 20 that's currently sitting there without a block trades or a freedom vote. But it at least demonstrates that it's possible. So they have a dominant position, but it is not an unquestioned one. The Justin Sun and the Steemit stake is an unquestioned one. Not quite, because it's less than 51%, so it's not guaranteed. And like, if we could get every single person with every single Steem to start voting differently, then it might change. But at least as it stands now, with 30 votes, he could entirely just change the witnesses to 30 servers he controls, and he could just make himself the one and only witness.
Yeah, and we've kind of seen this play out with EOS. Which, I don't know. I was just reading an article the other day. I don't know how accurate it is, but apparently, which somebody just said that nobody on the EOS controlling Block 1 doesn't actually vote for block producers because of legal reasons. But with them out of the way, like, it's kind of been centralized in China, which some people see as a problem. And we could totally see, that could totally happen here on Steem as well, with Justin Sun voting his buddies into the top witness positions, and they vote for the forks and for the things that he wants. And then our complete ecosystem gets decided by one person essentially, which he bought the stake, so that is his right. That's how this blockchain works. You own the stake, you get to use your stake to influence things, and yeah. So I don't know if we've just got given a sword deal, but here's the thing. He also, that's another thing. He didn't ninja mine this stake. He actually paid money for it. So he's got something to lose, right? A little bit more, he's got skin in the game, let's say. So I don't see him making any rash decisions, but then you wouldn't think he would. But then again, this whole Steem acquisition almost seems like a rash decision. The way it was, announced, and the way Steemit Inc. Eli and everybody seems to be just completely caught off guard by all this.
Right. Well, I want to give a couple people some more time. So, Ron, if we cycle through Truck Life Family, and then we cycle through Dobartum, and nobody else is around, and you want to keep talking with me, then I would love that. And otherwise, I want to move on and just make sure that everybody gets their 2 minutes. So
absolutely.
Thank you, Ron. Can you unmute Truck Life? It's not lighting up for me.
Truck Life is unmuted.
All right, you there, bud?
Hello.
All right. Thank you, Ron, and welcome, Truck Life. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I basically just I'm going to be repeating some of what Ron said really at the beginning, and I'm just think that it's great to see just all the passion that everyone has for the platform, and how much it's brought everybody together. And I see that as a positive thing. I'm just going to remain positive, and I'm very positive listening to all witnesses, and basically everyone has we all have the best interests of the platform at heart, really, and to kind of move forward. And I really think that after listening to everyone, that's very possible, even regardless to what Tron has in store for us. I think with the team that's working at the moment, that basically we can just move forward. And yeah, I just wanted to express that. I mean, I'm not very into the whole technical side of it. I'm a content creator. I have a lot of love for this platform and for the community. And yeah, just very, very happy with the amount of people that have turned up and supported this chat. And that's really all I wanted to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Truck Life Family. Glad to have you here. All right. Let's go. I guess I'll get Dobartum in here. And give me a second, Dobartum. I want to go move. All right, Dobartum, you're live on air. Can you speak?
Yes, just a second. We wait. Hey, hello to everybody. Yeah, I can speak. Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. What would you like to share?
Hello.
I can hear you. What would you like to share?
Okay. To share my opinion about Justin in this situation, if I can.
Yeah, this is your time. Go share what you like.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello to everybody. Hello to all Steemians. I mean, this is good for us, because with this guy Justin, owner of Tron, he has 2 billion turnovers of Tron. I see Steem before 1 month or 2 months, 7 cents. This is crazy. We have Steem is the first social network coin. Like Bitcoin is the first of generation, but this is social network coin, and this everybody know this. And I mean, this is a real time for investments, but we must to support our direction, Steem community, and I don't agree with negativism. Like downward, maybe we have a chance to put some another things against plagiarism or spammers. But I mean, these guys know how to rule business. We need good marketing. We need strong Steam value, and we need to massive adoption. I believe in that because he's a businessman. He's not programmer first. We need businessmen. This is my opinion, and I believe in that. If I'm wrong, then we like community must to stop some crazy things. But I don't believe in this. He invests money. He wants to bring new value. Steam community is very strong, but we need marketing and money. This is very short from my side, and thank you for your time. Maybe you have some another question. I'm business and.
Yep. Thanks for coming on. I'm going to move you back to live on air. General voice. All right. I'm going to grab Matt's Anthony. Move to live on air. Oh, he's here. Matt, are you there? You're muted.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Now you're live. Go for it. Share what you'd like.
Yes. Please, this is Matthew from Nigeria, and presently I'm speaking from Ilorin, Kwara State. And from my own perspective of Steem, and first and foremost, I would like to appreciate the Steem community for the great job well done, because it's not very easy, but due to the consistent, persistent, and hard work of the Steem witnesses, it has been a great and wonderful community. And to my own opinion, why so many people do not want to actually associate with Steem initially, because in my own view, I happen to try as much as possible to have something doing for Steem. Aside what I do as a farmer here in Nigeria, I tried my best to onboard so many people. And I last year I actually onboarded like 5 people into Steem, and due to one thing or the other, I think work schedules and traveling stuff, few people are actually active. And this new year 2020, I wrote my new year resolution, and the first 5 on my list was to actually onboard so many people into the blockchain, and to that's not just to join us on the blockchain, but to be active, to stay on on the community, and even to work for the community. So that's my own aim and objective for the Steem blockchain. And recently I made a new onboarding, which actually took me like 3 to 4 hours. I tried as much as possible to explain what has been our barrier on the blockchain and what we are hoping for this new year, and hoping for the pump in price, which actually come to pass, because so many people have been watching this. They actually prefer some other crypto, other crypto to Steem, like the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some other stuff. But to me, I know, I sometimes post on the Steem blockchain that I believe the positivity and the growth of Steem will actually, come to existence very soon. And as things really work out well for us, it has really been a great, a fight, because to me it's a very, very big fight for us. Thanks to the blockchain, the Steem witnesses, and to those people that actually come to Steem, not just to cash out reward alone, but to actually impact knowledge, to people. Because when I joined the blockchain, I actually came here to make a way, make a difference. Because here in Nigeria, we have so many people who actually vote for Steem, work for Steem, and probably maybe some actually went off because I always spend much time on Steem. Okay, maybe online and offline as well. Because early in the morning, in the afternoon, at night, I actually surf the net, and I watch Steam, trending pages and so on. So here in Nigeria, we have some kind of reluctancy, for people to join. Um, in last year, we actually made up, let me say, like a congress. Although I did not go for it because I had a let me say, minor EU. So, but the outcome of the conference was very huge, and they discussed more of how we can, here in Nigeria, how we can boost the networking of Steam here in Nigeria. And also, I happen to be one of the active users of Twitter. I engage more on Twitter as well. Kudos to they call me Dan, and Asidio, and Anomazone, and some other pretty people. They actually work very very hard to see that people actually use the Porch initiative, and which I actually abide with, and it's very very great. So this is what I have to say.
Thank you, Matt. It's a pleasure to have your voice. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
And next up, Dracos, you can go unmute yourself and share, and then Ganja Farmer, if somebody could unmute Ganja Farmer, and Ganja, if you could go mute yourself, that would be great. And Matt, please go move into the general voice. But Dracos, you're up.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Hi again. Just a couple of minutes to just quick thoughts. When I heard today's video with Justin and Ned, one thing that caught my attention is the level of accomplishments that Justin has compared to what Ned has. He didn't do shit for us actually, and here we have this new guy. he has bought so many things. He has the money. He has the power to do a lot of things, and I don't think it's in his interest to destroy us or to take over the chain or vote witnesses out, because that would be counterproductive for him. And I don't think somebody who just spent a shitload of money on something would like to destroy it, in the sense that Steem is already successful. It's not like we're struggling or in debt or we don't have users. We have a strong community, as we saw today. And I think he knows that. Otherwise, why would he be interested in us? If he has so much money, he could start his own social media like us. But he didn't. He decided to acquire Steemit and indirectly Steem because it's something successful. And I don't think he's going to trash it. And also, I think we should give him a chance. Because what my impression today was that he doesn't fully understand how Steem works. He was confused with SMT, calling it MST, and Steem and Steemit. All these new notions must be overwhelming for him. I don't know how much education Ned gave him as a heads up, but I think time will tell. So we should give him a chance and see how it plays out. But I'm not worried too much about it. We should be cautious, yes, but not overly cautious. Otherwise, we can just be paranoid for the next weeks or months. I don't know, just trying to figure out what he's gonna do. So I think we should wait, see what's gonna happen when he meets with the Steemit staff, the developers, and see what comes out of it.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you, Dracos. Ganja Farmer, you can unmute, and why don't you go share some of your thoughts?
Am I here?
I can hear you fine. What's up?
Well, honestly enough, I mean, this entire move is going to have some major ramifications that we're just barely learning about, especially with the stakeholder thing. And what I really want to see, I want to see Steemit, band together even more now, because we've just seen one tremendous price. That's affected every single one of our users all the way across the board, and it's shown them directly, that Steem is valuable still. Thank you everybody who stuck in and who held on and didn't power down. I'm 100% hodl. I'm trying to throw votes out and keep moving forward and everything. And I really think that Steem does have a future. It's got a lot of positive aspects, and it's got a lot of room for some positive growth here and really to affect the world. So that's why I'm still here. And I'd really like to just, take a deep breath and just sit and watch and see how all this plays out before I jump to any decisions. Because I'm a little controversial. I've attempted to rage quit Steam a couple of times. It hasn't worked. But we're still here, we're still moving forward, and with this news, I mean, yeah, you just watched the entire community come out, jump on, listen, and now communicate. So I'd like to thank you guys and really appreciate you guys having this platform and opening up the airwaves for even the common people. Appreciate it, and I'm done.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, Tech Coder X, you should be able to unmute and start speaking. Ganja, if you could move yourself into the live on or the general voice, that would be great. I'm thinking maybe we have 10 minutes left here, or 12 minutes left. So if there's one or two more people that want to come share their thoughts, they're welcome to. And otherwise, Tech Coder, you are up.
Hi, so this is Tech Coder X here. I'm a Steem witness as well as a DTube, the DTube chain witness, and I just woke up like about half an hour ago just to like kind of catch up with what has been talked about in the D-Live AMA thingy, and it seems like there are a lot of questions they are not answered that all of us want to be answered. For example, like what is going to happen with the Steem back dollars? I think what they want to do with our Steem power that we have power up, what the dApps are going to be doing next, and the long-term future on the actual Steem mainnet. So this, what I mean by that is that going forward, like let's say 5 years, 10 years, I think this is something that is going to be interesting, and I think that there's going to be quite a lot of like kind of, I would say, drama. I don't know about splitting and things like that. But as far as this goes, I think there are also positive aspects regarding this acquisition that many of us have already discussed about, such as the marketing that we have been looking for. Like we have been looking for like the people that is like really great at marketing. So I think this might help with the adoption of the Steem blockchain. And with regards to some of the development, I think if Justin Sun wants to move the dApps over to Tron, I think it is a kind of necessary for the Tron Foundation to create to kind of create a API that's compatible with Steem, so that developers don't have to rewrite the entire, like more than 50% of of their app for their debt. And yeah, I think it is going to be interesting for the next like 6 months to 1 year down the road. So yeah, this is it.
All right, thank you. Let's go. Oh, Fleisky left. I still have, there's time left here. So if people want to come on air, I'll keep talking. I'm assuming that we can be done by 4, but if there are people that want to share, they are welcome. So this is sort of your last shot here. That if you'd like to come on air, you'd like to share some thoughts. I'm happy to have you come on air and talk to the community and see what you're thinking. And otherwise, I'll share some good times. The good times here is that you're listening to MSP Waves. You are riding the waves with your host Aggroed here. This has been the I don't know. We've called it a Steem Witness Forum, but this has also been the community as well. Oh, I can see Arcane might want to talk to us, so I'm happy to go have Arcane. Yeah, and I don't know if Crimmy wants to go do a summary. I'd be happy to do that. Splinterlands is going to be fine. I mean, one of the amazing things about Layer 2 solutions is that they can function somewhat independently of the chain. And this chain is amazing for us, and I'm really hoping that continues to function exactly as is with some additional voluntary ties to Tron. That sounds amazing. And we'll see what that looks like. So let's go. If you guys can drag Arcane and Ingenuity in here if they're ready. And that looks like Arcane. Arcane, you can unmute yourself and share some thoughts. Arcane, you can be live, bud. But you have to unmute. All right, why don't we bring Ingenuity in here, if Ingenuity is good. I don't know. I think it was a productive discussion overall. Hopefully you guys appreciated that so many of the witnesses came here. Ingenuity, are you there? You're not muted on this end, but I can't hear you talking. Ingenuity, you're live on air.
Hello?
All right, there we go. Hello. I can hear you.
I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking or not. I can't hear anything all of a sudden, but no other green lights is popping up in the live on air. So first of all, I would like to say it's amazing to see all the people that have showed up in support of our beloved blockchain. It's pretty impressive, you guys. Give yourselves a pat on the back for, hanging in there and going through all these other crazy changes that we've had to go through. I don't think this is going to be a bad thing in the long run. He obviously came in with a mission. As a businessman, he knows what he's doing. In the way he's looking at it, it's a business transaction. He's here to make money. He sees massive potential, just like all of us, and that's why all of us are still here. After how long? Some of us are going on maybe 4 years that are in this chat. I see a lot of old school people and even a few new school ones. So weather the storm. I'm sure it will be here, and I'm actually kind of excited to see where it goes. The first time I even heard about Tron was through Splinterlands, so it's not a bad thing if it comes through a game that I love playing. I mean, I'm not pegging him. He didn't pay me to do that. I'm just saying. So thank you. Steam on,
All right, rock on, Ingenuity. Let me go move you to the other room. And Arcane, you can be live. It looks like you're unmuted, so go for it. Arcane, are you there? And he muted himself again. All right. I guess I want to try to give Arcane 1 or 2 minutes to catch back in here. But otherwise, you've been listening to MSP Waves. I'm your host, aggroed, currently Witness 8 on the Steem blockchain. You've heard from many other witnesses today. You've heard from the majority of the witnesses today and seen them interact. And, there's clearly a lot of passionate people here that are looking to go build this chain. And I think the initial disclosure of this was done terribly, and I'm looking forward and have more faith in what's happening next. It's a for now, and it will remain a for now as long as he's got his for now. But the terms that I think I've got narrowed down here is that we want to see Steem continue to grow, and we want it to be its own blockchain. We don't want a 75 million Steem Power vote to have all the say in the platform, so we'd like it to be non-voting. And we'd like, if there is another type of Steem coin created that lives on Tron, we want it so that exchanges choose a different name, or they choose a different name, and we can have our own. So I'm gonna stop the recording, but I'm not going to stop the stream. I'm gonna play one song to give people a break, and then if people just want to hang out and shoot the shit for a bit, we can go do that. So once again, thank you all. So stoked to have you here. It's great to see this community, and my Discord voice isn't coming through. That's fine. But anyways, you're well, I'm not ending everything. I'm just ending the recording. So let's go play one song, and if people want to keep talking, we can go do that. So hang in there.